It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here. Stacey Higginbotham. Ant Pruitt. Also, Mike Masnick of Tech Dirt. He's going to join us to talk about 3 new California laws that are just awful for the internet. We'll talk about why exercise bicycle usage is down 23% this year. The voice of New Jersey's Twitter is moving to Washington, D.C., the White House to be exact, and how you too can talk to naked mole rats. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twig. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 679, recorded Wednesday, August 31st, 2022, Conglomeratized. This Week in Google is brought to you by HPE GreenLake, orchestrated by the experts at CDW, who can help you consolidate and manage all your data in one flexible edge-to-cloud platform to scale and innovate. Learn more at cdw.com/HPE. And by ClickUp, the productivity platform that will save you 1 day a week on work, guaranteed. Use the code TWIG to get 15% off ClickUp's massive unlimited plan for a year, meaning you can start reclaiming your time for under $5 a month. Sign up today at clickup.com. Hurry, this offer ends soon. And by New Relic. Use the data platform made for the curious. Right now, you can get access to the whole New Relic platform and 100 gigabytes of data per month free forever. No credit card required. Sign up at newrelic.com/twig. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, a show we cover the latest from the Googleverse. There's some Twitter news this week. There's some Facebook news this week. But the top story this week comes from California. First, let me introduce our panel. Of course, Stacey Higginbotham from StaceyOnIoT.com at GigaStacey. Great to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Also with us, it is Jeff Jarvis. He is the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Earlier, we were trying to persuade Queen Pruitt to sing your intro, but she, as Sandy Cheeks, but she wouldn't do it. Aunt Pruitt is here, and maybe he'll do it. Hi, Aunt.
That would be no, sir.
That'll be a no. Do you sing at all?
That would be no, sir.
Well, I hear you have a lot of SpongeBob around the house, so congratulations.
Oh boy. Man, it never ends. It's musical this, musical that, every day.
I said that our big news of the week comes from California, and to bring us that news, it's always great to welcome Mike Masnick, TechDirt.com. Mike, you have been on a tear this
indeed
week. Before I say that, talk about that though, let me say, as Stacey did before the show began, happy 25th anniversary.
Woo-hoo, thank you.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We've been doing Tech Dirt for 25 years.
That's longer than Twit. That's amazing.
August of 97. Yeah. I'm old. I'm very old.
Even before Tech TV, practically before there was an internet. I mean, 97.
No,
that's when the internet was still young and wonderful
and fresh. Were you straight out of school when you started it, or what?
I started it when I was in school. I was in the process of graduating, and I started it in order to try and help find a job. I didn't realize it would become my job.
You made your job. Good job.
Yes.
Well done. Bravo.
What did you major in, Mike?
Well, I was in business school. I was getting an MBA at that point.
Okay.
So that's why you probably had to get a real job.
I was looking for a real job, and I was trying to show enthusiasm for the technology industry.
It could have been you were working at McKinsey or something. So it's good. It's good you started Tech Dirt.
You saved from that bell.
Yeah, you could have made a lot of money. Oh, man.
I know, right? Just don't remind me of that part. Yes. I definitely probably make significantly less than almost all of my classmates. Oh. So
well, it's not. That's not how we measure.
You have more soul
success.
left.
No, it's not how we measure success in life. Congratulations. Tech Dirt is a must-read. Even if you weren't here, we would have, I believe I counted 5 stories in our rundown.
Oh, I had them in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the big story comes from Monday night when the California Senate passed 3 horrible bills. And now the only question is, will the governor make them law? Let's start with AB 2273, which passed 33-0 in the Senate. It had already gotten through the House. The age-appropriate design, or the Assembly as they call it here, the age-appropriate design code.
Yeah.
Okay, the idea is, I think, laudable, and that's probably why it passed 33-0.
No, it's not. No, it's
Protect the children? You don't believe in protecting the children, Jeff?
Explain what it is before we moral panic.
Sure. So I would say the concept behind it is laudable. The idea that, the internet, in some ways, there are children on there, and occasionally children can wander into areas that are not safe for them. And that is a legitimate concern, right? In terms of how children and the internet interact. Now, in the U.S., we have federal law that tries to deal with some of that, right? We have COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which has some rules for sites that are directed at those under 13. What California is doing is really sort of trying to completely change the way the internet works. And, I think effectively they're sort of trying to turn it into Disneyland, where everything has to be appropriate for children at all times. That's not quite what the bill says, and there's some language in there that makes it pretend that it does not apply so broadly, but it really does. If you want, I can start to go through. The list of problems is so long it would take up more than your entire show.
Let me show the short version that Assemblywoman Buffy Wicks published, and my college classmate Roger McNamee endorsed. He said the big platforms are using disinformation to try to stop it. The California Age-Appropriate Design Code, how it works. Companies must stop selling kids' personal information. Okay, that's fair. COPPA does say that as well, right? Mm-hmm. Set all default settings to the most private. That sounds all right, except it's not just sites meant to be for under 18s. By the way, kids is under 18, not under 13, as in COPPA. Mm-hmm. It means all sites that an 18-year-old might visit, including mine.
Which is everything.
Including our IRC, including our forums, including techdirt.com. Design kids' experience based on their estimated age. Well, wait a minute. Estimated age. There's already something interesting. We're supposed to estimate how old the person is visiting our site?
Yes, with near certainty. There are some requirements that you have to estimate the age of people who are visiting your site, and it has to be fairly accurate under the law, which the only way you can do that is with age verification.
I can ask them, but then they might lie, as they do, as one does.
As one does on the internet.
Right. Well, we already have with COPPA, right? I mean, so there are lots of sites that say you can't access it under 13. And that's specifically because of the rules of COPPA, which is for sites targeting those under the age of 13. And the way we've dealt with that is that, basically every site says no one under 13 is supposed to use this site. And then what happens is every kid lies, and every parent teaches their kid to lie. And you put in a date that makes them over 13. And I don't know that it's necessarily a good idea that we're well, maybe it depends on how you look at it. It might be a good idea that we're teaching kids to lie about who they are on the internet.
That's one of those perverse consequences many laws kind of have. But would it be enough for me just to put up a sign everywhere we are saying you must be 18? I hate to do this because we have a lot of smart high school kids who listen to our stuff. You must be 18 to visit this site?
That will not work under this law, because the law is not for sites that are targeted at people under the age of 18. It's likely to be accessed by someone under the age of 18. And again, there's multiple problems there immediately. Yeah. Right. Well, so am I. Right. So
judgment calls is what you're saying, right? It's just judgment calls.
It's not even judgment calls. It's if you make a mistake on that, then you're in trouble, right? So, likely to be accessed by, if you think high school students might might access your website, then suddenly you have to be concerned, and you probably have to do something to try and get in compliance with this law.
Now,
and so
you've said, well, this means that we're going to have to do face recognition to determine whether you're 18.
That's not what I said.
That's
not what I said.
Who said that?
But that is what this group, the Age Verification Association, I forget, Providers Association, told me, right? So, I started to look into it because of the requirement that you have to, accurately estimate the age of people on your site. The only way to do that is with different age verification tools. Now, there is a company that has a near monopoly on the age verification tools, and that is MindGeek, which is the parent company of Pornhub. So
they're very good at this, by the
way. So one solution here is that every website is going to have to give data, including login data or facial recognition data, to the company behind Pornhub. I don't quite see how that helps the privacy of children across California. Now,
wow.
So this group, this Age Verification Trade Association, reached out to me to say, "Oh, no, don't worry about that. We have a better solution than the Pornhub solution."
Oh, thank God.
It just involves when you visit a website, we will need to scan your face and use our special AI to determine whether you are 17 or 18 years old. And then we'll decide whether or not you can visit these websites. So every website in according to this, these people who are providing the tools and who are supporting this law, all every website has to do is install these companies' systems to scan faces, use AI, which of course never makes mistakes and can't be tricked, and it'll be fine. So people point out there are going to be ways around that. Everyone's going to be holding up, that picture of Jeff Jarvis that you have on the desk for.
Hey, I'm babyface. Hey,
under 18.
Yeah.
and so they said, don't worry about that. We have a solution to that. If they're unsure, they may have to do a liveness test in which they will make you record a video in which you have to say phrases that they will present to you to prove that you're a live human being there. And it's like a hostage video just to visit websites in California.
Or you could do what they propose in the UK and just go to a local pub and say, "Here's my driver's license. I'm under 18. Am I okay?"
It's over 18.
Oh, either way, we got to know. I don't care what age you are. I need to know your exact age. So everybody must go to the
bar. Yeah.
Everybody must go to the pub.
Wait, so the goal of this is, I guess I'm a little unclear on, I know they're trying to do this to
protect the children.
I get it. Okay, I get protect the children. But is it to protect them from going to sites with objectionable stuff? Is it for us not to collect their data? Now I know the age of the person on my site. What does that mean for me?
That's a good question. And it's amazing how much stuff you have to get to before you even get to kind of the meat of the law, which is equally problematic. So basically, if your site is likely to be accessed by anyone under the age of 18, which is, again, almost every site, then there are a bunch of requirements that you have. And the biggest one, and the most, it's kind of ridiculous, is that every feature, for every feature on your website, you have to create I'm suddenly blanking on DPIA, a data protection impact assessment, I think something like that.
It's like the environmental impact report.
Right. For every single feature. And
how it would affect kids.
Right. And there's a whole bunch of categories of things that it must include in terms of, the likelihood that a child will see harmful content on your website is one of those things. So, and this raises questions too, because harmful content, lots of harmful content is clearly protected under the First Amendment. There is perhaps strong language on some websites, perhaps mine. Is that harmful? Harmful is not defined in the bill, so we don't exactly know.
Just like the UK. Just like the UK.
Well, in fact, it is a UK baroness that wrote this bill, and it is used almost entirely whole cloth from her.
Baroness is a nice touch, Mike, by the way. A very nice touch.
She directed one of Bridget Jones' Diaries movie, and then she says gave up her career in Hollywood to protect the children.
Yeah, she made a documentary about kids, on their phones, and decided that that documentary taught her about how evil the internet and phones were, and so she's sort of dedicated her life now to destroying the internet.
Making cheesy public service announcements like this. Play my sound. Oh, I turned it off. Hold on.
Faces, and we're tired of it.
Wait a minute. What are we tired of? Wait a minute. Go back. I got to hear what you're tired of.
A lot of people in my generation have felt the negative consequences of being in unregulated online spaces.
You mean like my chat room?
We're tired of it. We want protection, so start designing for us.
Design it for teens.
No. Wait a minute.
No.
It's time for the internet to be designed with kids, teens, and young people in mind. Design it for teens. By the way, that means my privacy policy has to be written for teens. Yes. That means I have to do a DPIA on every feature to conduct a risk assessment of how it uses kids' data. Make it easy for kids to report privacy concerns. Let kids know when they're being monitored or tracked. Provide all privacy notices in clear language that young users can understand. How young, by the way? How young is that?
Actually, that would be okay.
But wait a minute.
I think everybody would appreciate
5-year-olds?
Yeah.
What?
The how old is based on that because you're now tracking everyone's age, and you will have a sense of what age groups are visiting your site. You have to direct it towards the youngest of that crew. So as you determine that information, then you have to sort of rewrite your policies. And Stacey's right? There are ideas in there that are good ideas in general that websites should do. The question is, how do you enforcing that legally is creating a real difficulty under this law, and there's a whole bunch of sort of liability problems with the way it's structured. I think there are a lot of things that websites could do to be better about the fact that sometimes children access their websites, but this is really designed to effectively wipe out any website that couldn't be visited by a child, right? It's really designed to sort of make the entire web so that it's appropriate for children. And that, takes away a lot of what is kind of great about the internet.
So when you complained about this, they said, well, don't worry, because the California Attorney General decides when to enforce this. So they're not going to do it for you.
I would hope not, but even that is just kind of a weird risk, right? Because it's like I criticize the California Attorney General on lots of things. If I keep doing that, does suddenly he become interested in researching this? And the way the law works is not only you have to create these DPIAs for every feature. So we have search. So I have to hire a privacy lawyer to do an impact assessment of the search on TechDirt. Comments, sharing, all the different features that we have. Every single one has to have a DPIA written. And because there's legal liability associated with it, you really have to hire a lawyer to do this. Then you have to store them. And at any point, the Attorney General of California can demand that you produce them, and you have 3 business days. It was shorter than that, but they were nice, and they made it
something about 48 hours.
No, it was originally 48 hours, and now it's 3 business days. So you get a little bit of extra space, and you have to produce
to another state.
Yeah. You have to produce all of those DPIAs to the Attorney General. And with the DPIAs, if you determine in any of those DPIAs that a child might come across harmful content, or there are a few other categories of things, you have to come up with I think they say, timed plan to mitigate this before a child may access it. And so, if I, hire a lawyer to go through the website and say, well, if somebody does a search, if we're doing a control on a DPIA on our search function, and they may come across swear words. Is that harmful? Well, it depends on the age. I would think it might be harmful for some children.
They, of course, don't define harm.
No, harm is not defined in the bill. So there's all sorts of
fair use. Larry Lessig says it's the right to hire an attorney. This is about another this is right to hire an attorney.
This is not even a right to hire. This is a requirement to hire an attorney, because you have to go through all these things, and you have to have them ready, because at any moment the Attorney General could demand them, and you have 72 hours to produce them for everything on your site, including the plan on how you will minimize or get rid of that potential harm, And so, that's an impossible thing to comply with for most sites. I mean, I'm sure the biggest sites in the world, I'm sure Google and Facebook and whatever will have plans to deal with this. But for everyone else, what are they going to do?
So this says
a company.
Hold on just a second.
Can a company?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you go.
Well, I just want to clarify. This says for companies with 25 or million more in annual gross revenue, or buy or sell personal information of 100,000 or more users, or derive 50% of annual revenue for selling or sharing consumers' personal information. I think that lets me off the hook. It lets you off the hook, doesn't it?
Not quite. So I thought so too, and lots of people point this out because the law. Buckaroo. Yeah, the law is included in the CPRA, which is the California Privacy Regulation, whatever thing, the California privacy law that came about a few years ago. So it becomes a part of that. So it only applies to companies that are applied there. Now, so most of that seems to exclude you. The thing is, you only have to qualify for one of those things, not all three of those things that you listed. The 25 million excludes lots of people, but that second one says if you buy, sell, or share information on 100,000 users. Again, I would think that should exclude you and I, because in theory, I don't buy, sell, or share, except when you start to look at the definition of buy, sell, and share, which basically appears to include any sort of third-party service that you have on your website.
So if I have advertising?
If you have advertising on your website, and more than 100,000 annual users.
We do.
Whoa.
Then you buy, sell, or share information on over 100,000 people, and therefore you qualify under the law.
So both you and I, congratulations, qualify under the law.
Yes.
All right, Stacey, your turn. Sorry, I just wanted to, because people might
I'm
look at that and say, "Oh, well, that's only for big companies."
Can you bracket off your site if you're doing the age verification? Can you just say no 18-year-olds and then they have to lie to get on? Because I could also see this kind of
that's what people do with
internet.
COPPA, but it doesn't work this way.
Right. So
well, I know it doesn't work, but
with COPPA, you could in theory get away with that. With this, because it's likely to be accessed by, you putting a disclaimer is not enough. If they are still likely to visit your site, then you could be in trouble.
So it affects you too, probably, Stacey. You have more than 100,000 visitors all year, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you sell advertising, yes?
I do, but I don't sell any information on my...
I don't either, but apparently that doesn't matter.
The definition of sell is much more broad than the word sell implies.
She's not in California. And if she doesn't visit the state of California and get locked up as soon as she crosses the state line, what is her liability?
She has users in California, right?
I know that, but I'm asking, how do they come after her?
That I don't know how it will directly apply to companies outside of California, but I don't know. I mean, that you would have to hire a privacy lawyer to figure it all out.
So that might be an out then. It might only affect California companies, which is you and me.
Well, we are California companies, or in theory, companies that have users in California. Yeah. So in theory, Stacey, if you want to block out all of your California users, and then we get back to the whole issue of sort of a much more fragmented internet, there are already companies that don't allow people in the EU to visit it because they don't want to deal with the GDPR. But now imagine that you have this in California, and that's not even getting into assuming that this goes through and assuming that nobody challenges it, or that if it is challenged, somehow it's found to be constitutional. Now you have a blueprint for every other state to pass their laws. And some of those laws might be contradictory. And in fact, like right now, there are state privacy laws, like Illinois is a big one. They have a state privacy law that I think the age verification requirements of the California law probably violate. They violate Illinois' privacy regulation. So I don't know, do we just start blocking states one by one? I don't know.
So this is
you
already
also get activists, attorneys general. Here. So in Texas, harmful content could be,
abortion
any LGBTQIA plus or abortion information,
gay information. So
exactly right. So they can pass laws. So other states will likely pass laws using nearly identical language, but because it's all within the determination of the attorney general, yes, you're right. So Texas could pass this exact law and determine that all sorts of content is harmful and go after websites for it.
Which would include liberal content there, literally.
Yes.
How close is this to the law that Baroness Beban-Kidron got passed in the UK? Because they have this law too, right?
So the UK design code, which sounds the same and has basically the same name, is not the same.
Right.
And there are some key differences. The first thing is that it's not really a regulation by itself. It is basically instructions to the regulators of the UK data protection. It's not Ofcom. It's the ICO. Because it's
the legal
like,
but harmful stuff is going to be Ofcom, right?
Yes, but that's separate. Well, let me get to that in a second, because that's important too.
Yes,
you jumped ahead. So the UK, when they were still part of the EU, they put in place laws to match the GDPR. So they have their own sort of version of the GDPR. Now that they've cleaved themselves away from the EU, they still have their own data protection regime. The design code rules are basically an instruction for the regulators of the data protection on how to apply it. And what's interesting is that the Baroness, her organization, has submitted, I think there was something like 250 complaints about websites in the UK that they say are not complying with the design code. So far, as of like a week and a half ago, which was the last that there was a report on this, the regulator has gone after 0 of those companies. However, so there's been no enforcement, which is, again, it's entirely up to the regulator there, the data protection regulator in the UK. However, every time that any website makes any change these days to, have better privacy rules or better functions for teenagers and children, her organization takes credit for it and claims they're only doing it because of the design.
Just like
code.
your classmate, just like the Parents Teacher Council, just like all these moral entrepreneurs, as they're called, who make a living out of doing this.
The irony is,
I mean, by the way, Mike, this is enough to make me want to go just drink hemlock and go off the edge of the earth. This is only the first of 3 bad laws Mike talked about.
I know. We only have half an hour.
That's what I was saying. This is just the first one.
All right, let me.
But this is the worst one, I'll say. But so the thing that I'll add is Jeff, that you brought up the online safety bill, which is the other bill that is now making its way through the UK, and the same person, Beban-Kidron, who basically helped write the design code in both the UK and in California, has now said that is her focus, is getting that law passed, and that will create a whole bunch of other ridiculous problems. And and it appears that her goal is to export it. And in fact, I would argue that the California version of the design code is actually much closer to the online safety bill in the UK than it is to the actual design code, the age-appropriate design code in the UK, because there's actually an enforcement mechanism in the California one. It's not just up to the regulator to decide, but here it actually goes to the Attorney General, and they have the ability to fine companies for a variety of different failures under this bill.
So this bill still has to be. Hold on, I got to move it along.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sure.
This bill has to still be signed by Governor Newsom. Seems likely he will, since he's running for president apparently, and he doesn't want anybody to say you're not in favor of kids. Yeah. It doesn't go into effect till next year. What do you?
It's actually a year and a half. It doesn't go into effect until 2024, summer of 2024.
I plan to just ignore it, and if they go after me, go out of business. What are you thinking, Mike?
I think that's what most companies are going to do, right? I mean, there's no way to comply, and even if you tried to comply, it would be so ridiculously expensive that I think most companies that are sort of small companies and mid-sized companies that qualify under the law will simply ignore it and hope that the Attorney General never decides to go after them, because that's the only way you can deal with it realistically, and that seems like a bad situation, because what good is a law if most of the people it applies to are going to ignore it? But that's what California wants to do right now.
The next bill, AB 587.
But wait, there's more.
Also, this one we can do a little faster, because we already know about this bill, because it's effectively the same as the ones Texas and Florida passed, and which were not overturned, but blocked by the courts, because it's a violation of the First Amendment. It's tell me what AB 587 does.
So 587, again, just like 2273, which, it's presented in this sort of noble fashion that sounds good. 587 is technically about transparency. And the idea here is that it requires companies, social media companies, to be transparent about their policies, have them published where people can read them, and they have to file them with the government, and they have to sort of live up to to what is in their content moderation policies. And
that seems fair. That's mild.
Yeah.
That's mild.
It seems fair, and in theory, there's some stuff that is good about it, right? But the reality is, again, I keep trying to explain this, transparency itself is a good thing, right? And I'm super supportive, and I want more companies to be more transparent, and I often push companies to be more transparent. Mandated transparency begins to lead into a whole bunch of problems, and so, again, I don't have that much time to go through all of the problems.
I can do it in one sentence. It's a roadmap for companies to game moderation.
Yes, because you are filing these things and you have to live up to them and you can only change them every so often. People who don't run websites where they have to deal with the public or with, people posting stuff on their websites do not realize how many bad actors there are with malicious intent who just want to mess with you.
Stay way ahead of you.
And it might just be as simple as spammers, right? That's the sort of most obvious one. You have people who are more malicious in other ways, but spammers, right? Spammers want to take advantage of your system to promote whatever it is that they're promoting. And they are looking for any edge that they can have. Now, under this law, you are basically telling them, here's exactly the rules for how to spam us, and we will not be able to stop it, because to make a change, we sort of have to notify everyone that we're making a change. And there's a period of time under which, we can't make that change. Therefore, you have freedom to spam our site, and we cannot take it down for this long.
Passed 31-3, waiting a sign to be signed.
Cousin to the show us your algorithm, Google.
Yeah.
Yes.
Finally. And this one's a little smaller. We can get through this one a little quicker. AB 2879. Who isn't against cyberbullying?
Right. Again, it's another one of these. It's framed. It's, cyberbullying. It's a bad thing, right? We should try and stop cyberbullying. But again, there are problems with this, and that it basically is blaming the companies if anyone on their platform cyberbully someone else, right? Now, we do want companies to try and stop that. If companies are aware of people using their platforms to cyberbully someone else, it's a good thing for them to try and do something about that, to prevent that, to prevent those kinds of things. But this bill, effectively pins the blame on the company that, if cyberbullying happens on their platform, that they are going to have liability for that. And so, the end result of that, sorry, go ahead.
With this one, 230 come into play anywhere?
That's what I was just going to ask.
In theory, right. In theory, 230 should preempt this bill. I mean, in theory, 230 might preempt some of the other bills too. It's a little trickier with that. But with this one, it seems fairly clear that 230 should preempt it. But again, so far, we've seen with Florida and with Texas and with a number of other states that are preparing similar bills, they are kind of banking on the fact that the courts are suddenly a little bit afraid to rely on Section 230 and are looking to cut back Section 230. So to some extent, I think this is an attempt to have this law in place in case Section 230 disappears, and they can sort of jump right in and
it's like a trigger law
liability. It's effective. I mean, I don't think anyone supporting it would say that directly, but that seems to be the way that this is playing out.
As soon as 230's gone, everybody's liable, in other words.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
I know you're trying to, but so you've talked about companies your size and the possibility of this. What about the big companies? What about Twitter and Facebook and Google? How do these laws, if you're there and you have any kind of effort to comply, what does that look like?
I think it will be ridiculously difficult. I think that they're just going to be in trouble, and I don't know. These companies have really not taken any stand on these bills at all. I think, for the obvious reason that they don't want the headline. Exactly what would happen if they had spoken out against any of these bills, is that the New York Times and the Washington Post would have huge giant headlines about, Google is trying to allow cyberbullying or whatever it would be. And so there's been effectively no pushback on any of these bills.
Which is why we must defend the internet. That's why, this is why, folks, I get panicky about moral panic, is because we've got to defend the freedoms that are there from this kind of stupidity.
Yeah. So, I mean, what happens realistically, again, there's sort of like what has to happen under the law and what happens realistically is, my guess is that, basically these companies work with the attorney general and, try and sort of come to some sort of agreement on, we're doing this, this, and this, like, don't go after us. Now, I don't remember exactly where, some of these bills turned out, because there were late amendments on some of them in terms of where the enforcement was and who could enforce it. So some of these bills originally had a private right of action. There was another bill that actually didn't get this far, which was good, which was the online addiction bill, which it said like companies should be liable. That one did not go through. That one got dropped. And so that one was, if a website or internet service addicts a child, then originally parents could sue. So all a parent would have to do is say, my kid is addicted to Instagram, I'm suing. That was a problem. They took away the private right of action for the parents to sue, but then they left it up to any local official, so that it was, it could be the attorney general, but it could also be like a local prosecutor who might be, aiming for higher office. And what better thing to do than to get a headline where you're taking on the big bad internet companies. I think that may have gotten limited more and more on some of the other bills. I don't remember, because we had like all of these bills happening at once, and there were a few last minute changes. So I don't know exactly what all of the last minute amendments were on all of them. So it might not be that anyone can. I think all of the private rights of action were removed, but there is a question of like which law enforcement prosecutors can make use of these laws, and I'm not sure where that came out in the end.
I'm just looking at the final text of the 2022-73, the age-appropriate design code, and it looks
that one's just the attorney general.
It's just the AG, yeah. And it says there it would create a California Children's Data Protection Working Group.
Yes. To
determine best practices for implementations. So the nicest interpretation of this is it allows the legislature to create a committee. And,
yes.
and
great, like that part, like nice, sure. I mean, it would be great if there were some best practices, but the fear is with best practices, of course, is that like if any new company comes along and wants to do something different, maybe they have a better way, but it's not considered one of the best practices, then you're playing with fire, right? Then you're basically just asking for the attorney general to come after you, and so. Best practices could be good in that you could learn something interesting, you could get sites to do stuff, but it takes away the ability for experimentation, and maybe there are better ways to do things. And again, a lot of the problems that people are discussing and the challenges and the risks are things that are highly dynamic. They're changing. The bad actors are constantly adjusting, and as a website, you have to be able to adjust as well. And a lot of these don't really allow for that kind of adjustment. They assume there's this kind of static world, and there's like things that are good for kids, things that are bad for kids, and you have to only do the things that are good.
And as you say, this at techdirt.com, the bills are fundamentally flawed, written by people who do not understand how the internet works at all. I recommend people go to techdirt.com, read Mike's very scathing article. There are lots of
fact-filled,
lots of links. If you want to know more, Mike has a lot to do. He's a busy guy because, well, the fight has just begun. 25 years you've been doing this. Are you getting tired?
I'm a little tired this week, but in general, I still enjoy very much what I'm doing. I wish that I were not the only one raising the alarm about these particular bills.
Amen, brother.
But
it's an important time to, let's plug also, it's an important time to join TechDirt.
Yeah, sign up.
What do you call it? Join or subscribe or sign up? Whatever.
We have a Patreon. If people like to use Patreon, we also have a thing called the Insider Program. Patreon and the Insider Program are both sort of similar ways of subscribing and supporting us. And that includes, by the way, we're going to announce the details very soon. We're having an online get-together next week to celebrate the 25th anniversary, and that is open for people who subscribe.
That's great.
So we'll be sending out more details on that very soon.
TechDirt.com. Become a friend of TechDirt. Support them on Patreon.
TechDirt is our friend.
Their card game, the Collect It All card game. Buy their T-shirts. Use their VPN. Do everything you can because Mike is doing God's work. And Mike, I really appreciate it. What we're gonna do is take this segment, turn it into a Twitbit so we can disseminate it as widely as possible beyond this show. Because I think not only do Californians need to know about this, but I think the whole world needs to understand that this is a trend, and it's very likely other states will follow suit. So this is something to be aware of. Thank you, Mike, for giving us your time. I know you're busy. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me, giving me a chance to talk about this and raise the alarm and hopefully get some more people aware about it because, not enough people are talking about it.
Absolutely right. Thank you, friend.
Thank you, Mike.
Take care. Take care. All right. We still have lots to talk about. This is a very full week, but I did want to get Mike on. We will take a break, come back with our regularly scheduled programming in just a moment. Aunt Pruitt, Stacey Higginbotham, Jeff Jarvis. Go write your congressman. I don't know. Do something. All right.
Get mad.
Get mad.
You know what I just realized?
What?
Twitter Blue was $6 a month, right? That's what it jumped up
It went
to.
from 3 to 5.
$3.99.
Oh, 3 to 5. Okay. The Insider with TechDirt is $5 a month.
Well, much better than Twitter
here.
Blue. Yeah, much better. Much better than Twitter Blue. Yeah.
Buy this, not that.
All right, let's take a little break. Our show today brought to you by HPE GreenLake, orchestrated by the experts at CDW. Those helpful folks at CDW understand that your organization needs simple management over its big data, but with some needing to keep their workloads on-prem for, organizational or compliance requirements, it might feel challenging to organize and optimize your data. Oh, I got some good news. That's where CDW can help your organization by consolidating and managing all your data in one flexible, unified experience with the HPE GreenLake Edge-to-Cloud platform. The experience you get with HPE GreenLake is unique because no matter where your data or applications live, you can free up energy and resources with automated processes and streamlined management. And we can all use some more streamlining these days, am I right? Not only that, HPE GreenLake creates a seamless cloud experience among multiple data environments thanks to the as-a-service model that meets your remote workforce where they live, at the edge. And with unrivaled scalability, you'll see an instant increase in capacity, allowing for greater flexibility and something we all like, accelerated business growth. So your team can tackle bigger priorities like innovating, winning. When you need to get more out of your technology, HPE makes data transformation possible, and CDW makes it powerful. Learn more at cdw.com/HPE. Thank you, CDW, for supporting This Week in Google, and you support us when you go to that address, cdw.com/HPE. All right, I'm sorry I had to beat you all up because I didn't want to keep Mike too long, and I wanted to get through all 3 of those bills.
You are the dictator.
And it is not a democracy, dang it. No,
this is authoritarian podcasting.
I didn't even ask him about Senator Amy Klobuchar's
bill
because I knew this would have steam coming out of your ears, Jeff Jarvison. Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah, they changed my name at Ellis Island.
Yeah, Jarvison. It was Jarvisinski. And David Cicilline from my home state of
and
Rhode
my
Island.
senator.
And
my senator, Cory Booker.
Cory Booker.
I'm writing a letter to Cory Booker this weekend. I hope.
Good. 3 good Democratic members of Congress, but they are back with the JCPA, the Journalism Competition and Preservation Act. Look, who doesn't want competition and preservation among journalists?
For the kids. For the
kids. This is much.
I would say for the democracy.
For the democracy, actually. Absolutely right.
Well, for the newspaper hedge fund owners, actually.
Well, this is the funny thing. So, this is a new bill, updated. The big change is it no longer applies to big news organizations. The idea of it's a link tax. So Google, Facebook, anybody who links to snippets.
It's a link blackmail, more like it.
Well, this is what's funny about it. Yeah, because it's the Rupert Murdoch Australia thing. It says they can demand a fee from these big tech companies for linking to them. right? But she's smart. She's smart. She said, well, you know what? Let's exempt Google and Facebook, and let's not exempt them. Let's exempt the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Fox, the big organizations. They don't need the money. Let's make it for the little guy. Anybody with under 1,500 employees. Right, Jeff? That's good. That supports local journalism, small organizations.
Bed bugs biting at your ankles coming after the big companies.
I was going to say, is Gannett in her home district or in her home state?
Well,
what's there?
But what Mike points out in Tech Dirt is all this bill basically says is buy up large newspapers, cut down to under 1,500 employees, and step 3, profit. He says she's basically saying you get free money as long as you fire enough people first.
Fire enough people.
Jeff, come on. Now, you do want to support small journalism organizations. I know you do.
This is just ridiculous. This is the worst of my field. I'll say it myself. Journalism should be independent of a government and not lobbying to government, and that's what this is from. This is the Newspapers Association. This is the trade associations have turned into lobbying organizations purely, and they're going after this. They've been going after this removal of antitrust so that they can all gang together, which is a little ironic because they're claiming antitrust everywhere else in the world, and they're trying to have backsheesh and blackmail against the big companies. And the interesting thing is, I just recommended a book I had a bunch of internet researchers in the school last Monday, Tuesday. And as we were talking there, we got into a weird conversation. I mentioned a book that I love called Media at War by Gwyneth Jackaway. You're not going to find it at any bookstore. It's out of print. But it's about how the newspaper industry fought the entrance of radio. And it's the exact same game plan here to use their clout to cash in with government and to try to disadvantage their new competitors because they don't know what they're doing. It's disgusting. It's wrong. It's protectionist. It doesn't help news. It doesn't help democracy. It's BS.
Well, and then Mike points out there's an even greater hazard because it allows smaller organizations to band together to form.
That's the antitrust part.
Yeah, without violating trust laws.
Without violating antitrust, right?
Band together to go to Google and Facebook and Apple and Microsoft and say, we want some money. And if you aren't carrying our journals, you must carry them. So as Mike points out, this is essentially giving disinformation brokers the right to aggregate and go to Google and say, well, the bill says platforms cannot refuse to link.
And it's compelled speech is not free speech. And the right wing is using just that. They're trying to say you can't take down our tweets. You can't take down our stuff. At the same time, and we're going to get to something later about Truth Social, I suspect, where the platforms end up in a bind. The left is saying, take down all the junk. The right says, that's our junk you took down. And compelled speech is not free speech.
Yeah. He says it's an end run around antitrust law, copyright law, and common carrier law.
Yep.
Just to get Google, Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft to give us some money for linking to us.
Once again, like the California law, setting terrible precedent.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's just awful.
Why
Klobuchar is not my... I wore her hat for about a week.
Me too. Yeah.
I
really like her, but and he asked the question at the end. I used to think Klobuchar was ignorant about how the internet worked, but now I'm beginning to realize she's deliberately seeking to destroy it. So that's my question: is what gives here? Is it the people who just
it's
don't?
It's the hot thing to do.
It's good. It's good for It's good for vote to get votes.
Yeah, the internet's evil and it's terrible and it's tearing apart democracy and it's awful and we have to kill it. We have to get rid of it, just like every new medium before.
And it's a certain age group of those politicians doing all of that too.
A lot of it. Yep.
So nobody lost an election by banning the internet. In effect, that's how you.
And nobody won one by protecting the internet and protecting speech. It's not a popular thing to protect speech. You end up protecting pornography. You end up protecting Nazis and Skokie. The First Amendment is not a popular piece of law, of constitutional law, but It's vital to the democracy, and it needs our legislators to stand up for it instead of trying to cut through it. And it's very much in peril. Jeff Kosseff, who wrote the wonderful 26 Words That Created the Internet, along with United States of Anonymous, and has a new book coming out soon, is also very worried about what's going to happen with Sullivan in the Supreme Court, which is, part of the First Amendment. And so bit by bit, piece by piece, they're going after the most fundamental right in America from both sides, because the internet is now the bad guy. Why is this a problem? Why do I find a problem with moral panic? This is why.
Yeah, you're making me feel guilty now. I feel bad that all this time
I've been
critical of the tech giants when I should have been.
Well, so
it's not that. No, it's
I feel like we're equating the tech giants with
You're right, Stacey.
the internet, and I think, I think that's the easy shorthand. And I hear you saying this a lot with Jeff, like for example, talking about like content laws. You're like, we have to protect the internet. I would argue that we just have to protect the communication medium that we're predominantly using today, instead of being like, the internet, like it's a special snowflake. It's not anymore. It's an established method by which we communicate with everyone. It's our telephone network. It's our newspaper. It's all of this. And I don't know if it's a function of like nomenclature, but it's definitely, we keep associating the internet with, the FANG stocks, for example, or the internet with ad tech. It is all these things, but it's also more. And we've got to figure out how to divorce that or talk about it in a way that.
Well, I agree.
Well said, Stacey. And I think one of the questions that the way I look at it, and I just had one of the professors who in my group of researchers last week scold me for this, but I'll still argue it, is that the current proprietors of the net, and they are the net's proprietors, let's be honest, they're running the infrastructure, they're running the functions we use, but they're not forever.
Well, and my point is that
they're not forever.
They're as big a threat to the true, real little internet as government is, and everybody else. That I think they are.
They are a threat because they've let ad tech run rampant over it, and they have not been good stewards of
exactly,
I guess, what the internet was capable
of. And this California law is a good example because they can easily adhere to this law. So this is something you talk about, Jeff, with regulatory capture. They don't mind this law, but it's harmful to. I'm a little internet guy. You're a little internet guy too, Stacey. This is harmful to us. And Google
actually, I wonder if what I see happening, I mean, let's be real. This happened with GDPR and we were like, it's the end of the world. What happened is we ended up, in my case, it was MailChimp, and other people, it was WordPress. Other services will come up and they'll be like, here, we're going to handle this for you. And yes, you'll end up paying them and they'll do it. But that's realistically how something like this gets played out. Sorry.
I hope so.
Well,
but
I think the other piece of this is that what you're really complaining about, Leo, is the outcroppings of an attention-based economy, which was invented by media. Media still depends on it. It's still media. And that's what infected the internet. And that's what infected the internet of going for scale and taking our data and abusing us with all kinds of junky web pages and content. What we have to encourage is the invention of the next generations. And as you're going to hear me, I'm going to do my Gutenberg moments because, by the way, folks, here's the manuscript going in.
Yeah.
446 pages. Ta-da! Right. The Gutenberg parenthesis coming out next June from Bloomsbury.
Yay.
Yay. Right. I just forgot what I was going to say because of that little exciting moment.
I think what
Welcome
you're
to my
saying
world.
is we have to let the next generation of the internet.
Yes,
and this is my hope is that it doesn't really, none of this really matters because the internet is so vital and so disparate and so large that it can't really be shut down by these behemoths of government.
But we can end up with a lot of bad stuff.
Well, we will.
And I am history.
I think it's going to swim in the interstices of these laws and these.
But we've got to recognize the reflex to control, the reflex for censorship, for banning, for protectionist legislation. It happened with print. It happened with radio. It happened with TV.
Or as Tim Wu said, the instinct to agglomerate, the instinct to control is really about finding all these little things and making them one big thing.
Well,
to monopolize.
Yeah, fine. That's the economy. That's capitalism. That's
it's not just to monopolize things.
Blames too much on that.
It's also to make it easier for people to access and make things more accessible to people. So think about, the perfect example of this was like the Yahoo homepage pre-Google and then Google. That conglomeratized the internet in a way that made it easy to search.
New word.
Big word.
Conglomeratized.
I'm just like,
Conglomerarization.
you remember,
we want deconglomerarization. That's what we want.
But you don't, not as a user. You remember having to let's see what's on the internet. I'll go to my Yahoo
cool
page.
Site of the day.
Cool site of the day. Oh, let's look at finance. Let's look at some news.
Yeah, it is going to be. You're right.
It's not just about money. It's also about ease of use. And that's a constant. Look at Apple versus Android. That's what that's about.
Here's what makes me optimistic is that, I look at things like what Cory Doctorow calls the largest consumer boycott of all time, which is the widespread use of ad blockers. I think humans are going to act in their own interest, and this conglomeratization, what is it? Conglomeratization, which is what business wants. Ben Thompson calls it his aggregation theory. It's what business wants because it's more profitable. It's what Cory Doctorow calls choke point capitalism, where you have to give $1 every time you want to, do anything on the internet. You have to give $1 to Google. That's the tendency there. But humans are the opposite. And, I have a feeling, for instance, that podcasting is going to get eaten alive by big companies, by aggregation, and that pretty soon it'll be Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, Apple, a handful of companies that will really make all the money in podcasting, and all the little independent companies like mine will be gone.
Or worse, Leo, that podcast, like blogging, when the New York Times
just
made fun of
blogging.
blogs, then they took over blogs,
right,
and then they dismissed blogs, and now try to find blogs in RSS.
Yes,
it's tougher. So do they ruin podcasting in the process?
Exactly. But just as podcasting took over when blogs kind of went away, I think. This is where I'm agreeing with you, Jeff. I know it's hard to see, but I think that the tendency is in the right direction, regardless of this tendency towards aggregation. That in the long run, innovation happens at a smaller scale, and will always win because people are people.
Yeah,
I hope. That's to me the only optimistic.
Now, what role does the FTC have in buying up these? Because we will say, well, hold up,
they're ineffective.
1 second. So looking at innovation, think about Facebook buying WhatsApp or Instagram when they saw new forms of content sharing and social media kind of developing so they could crush it or incorporate it. The FTC is now looking in their rules for evaluating antitrust arguments. They're looking at things like, hey, are you buying up future innovation? We did a whole thing on Amazon buying iRobot about the future of innovation.
And in the short term,
that is a government action.
Yes, but unfortunately, the government changes every 4 years, and the winds of politics.
That's actually fortunate. We actually that's part of democracy.
No, I know.
Peaceful transfer of power.
I support it, but that's why you're not going to get a monolithic FTC. Every 4 years, new chairman, new ideas. The last one goes out the window.
Priorities.
That's why we have to have good laws. So you've got your laws. The laws then dictate the regulations. I know, and then
in California.
The agencies haven't always been so politicized.
Yes, they have. They always have.
No.
Yes, they always have.
The commissioners may have been politicized, but the actual decision making, if I look at the FCC, the FTC, all of those agencies, they have a whole layer of staff and experts that are actually trying to solve this. And then they have the commissioners who are deciding on some cases and making statements and evaluating decision, a direction. But
trying to solve.
She's playing Newt Minnow again this week.
I think I'm going to have to say government is in the same boat as big tech. All the aggregators, the power mongers, the big guys, and we're just going to be the little minnows or newts that swim through the gaps because it's even more than ever before. The winds of politics blow hither and yon, and you cannot. There's no policy that will survive a new Congress. None.
You could argue that historically our innovation has been around technology. What if our innovation is now moving into a political sphere? So our innovation then becomes about, and this is what private equity has done for decades, is kind of this regulatory arbitrage. So it could be that our innovation is just going to move from like cool stuff in physics to like really boring stuff in lawyers.
If I had a choice,
that would suck.
Yes. Thank you. You just said what I was going to say. If I have a choice, I'd rather have innovation occur with the innovators, not with the members of Congress and the lawyers.
Yeah, but physics is hard and expensive, and Congress no longer funds it. And meanwhile, Congress is putting all this money into these programs, and these companies are like, oh my God, if I could just play this regulatory arbitrage, I could get billions, as opposed to going. I feel like politics kind of got us into this by reallocating money from basic research funding to like weird programs and such. I don't know. It's hard. I feel
so. Mike Masnick just tweeted, if you want to see me getting increasingly exasperated and frustrated, watch the first 45 minutes of today's This Week.
and as I said, we're going to make it
for a good cause, folks.
Yeah,
for a good cause.
Make it Fitbit. I'm trying to be optimistic, Stacey. If I thought that our future depended on right-thinking members of Congress and agency administrators and staff, I would be very depressed. I think in the long run, our best hope is with individual action. And yes, a lot
individual
of them
action will not get you anywhere. That is such a lie. People are sold on this because we're taught to believe that. I'm serious. This is like.
I'll argue with you in a minute. Keep going.
Okay, it is a lie to make us powerless. And I say this: we need collective action, one, as people, but we also need to get up and find politicians and people who actually can speak to us. Because this lie about individual action, if you look at what's happening at a political level, at a corporate level, there is no way. That is a lie that they tell us to keep us. Oh, I agree with depressed.
you. I think we should stay politically active and aware and alert, and we should write members of Congress and all that stuff. I'm not saying give up on that.
And these people will die.
I know.
New people will come in.
And then new people will happen.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying don't do that, and I believe in collective action. But honestly, where does innovation come? Not from collective action.
You cannot have innovation at the scale that we need. You cannot have physics innovation. And that's part of the problem. At an individual or even a tiny company level, you need big bucks to make inroads into material science and to solve things like climate change. You cannot sit there and hope that some billionaire is going to be like, oh, hell yeah, Mars, that's the future. And because then you get people going to freaking Mars instead of researching useful things.
Well, I think Elon Musk is no longer our last best hope, but in the early days,
but that philosophy is what gives him but you're talking about today's people like Elon and
today's Elon
like awesome.
is a horrible person, but because Elon wanted to become today's Elon, he did innovate. He did do some amazing things, and I think that's over and over again. You see that.
Did he?
Yes.
He did it as a team, not just him.
No, of course. He created a team. He created a team. And yes, he got government subsidies. Absolutely. Nevertheless, it was his vision to do to move Tesla. He didn't create Tesla, but he moved Tesla forward with his vision. He moved SpaceX forward with his vision. Now he's reaping the reward of it, which makes him a complete ass. But early Elon was a mover and shaker, and I think that you can say that in a lot of early Henry Ford transformed the world. Later Henry Ford, not so nice. I think this is the way of the world. But I do think that individual action that eventually becomes collective action, but it starts with the individual. You gotta,
Can I join in on that?
Yeah.
So in fact, I just wrote this paragraph, the last paragraph I wrote in the book just today, where I was trying to grapple with just that. And Stacey, I'll pull a Stacey on Stacey. I think you're right, but I'm also going to disagree with you. That I think individual action matters to the extent that everything we choose to do on the internet, everything we say and don't say, everybody that we argue with or don't, everybody we shun, has an impact in the sense that it is a process of setting norms. And it's slow and it's maybe frustrating, but we have a responsibility. If we share a whole bunch of junk on the internet, we're making the internet a worse place. If we share artful, wonderful stuff on the internet, we're making the internet a better place. So we have that role, but that role is, in fact, you're right, very circumscribed, very limited. And how does society make changes? It makes changes through institutions. But institutions aren't just laws or governments or bodies. They're also norms writ large. They're also larger views of how we see the society. So things like free and fair elections as an institution that we stand behind until it gets attacked, or the First Amendment as an institution we stand behind until it gets attacked. And so then we have a responsibility as a society to protect those institutions, to update them, to build new ones, whatever that might be. So it gets fought out at a bigger level of institutions, but we contribute to that with our individual actions, which means we have individual responsibility.
Here's how I would put it. There are no norms without Norma Ray. Am I right?
Leave it to Leo.
If you don't get up on the table and you say union now, then you can have collective action. But it starts with an individual, it starts with an idea. So, and I think that the big problem is looking to government or Google or Facebook or the California legislature for solutions. That's not where they start. It starts with Norma Ray on the table. And by the way, I just said that so we'd have a good show title.
I was hoping for decompartmentalization or whatever the heck it was, she said.
Conglomeratization.
Yes.
Norms start with Norma Ray. That's the one I'm voting for anyway.
Well, it's not a democracy.
It's Norma Ray.
So you have the only vote that
wait a
matters,
minute.
boss.
Who's Norma Ray? See how quickly they forget?
Norma Ray.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Moment of history coming here. You asked for it, Stacey.
It's a film?
Yeah, but it was based on
a story.
a person.
Norma Ray McCorvey.
It was based on a person who was a union
Played by
organizer.
Sally Field.
Oh.
Yeah.
I played a union organizer once in high school. It was our UIL play.
Yeah. I would really wish I could put the video of Norma Ray standing up on the table, but I do want this show to survive YouTube. So
Yeah, let's not do that.
I won't. All I have to say is you like me. You really like me. And again,
That's
Oh,
not
is that
in
what
the
that's
movie.
from?
yep. No, it's from her acceptance
from the
speech.
acceptance speech.
For winning the Academy Award for playing Norma Ray.
Oh, Sally Field?
Sally Field.
Sally Field.
You
The
probably
flying
don't
nun.
think of
Did
her
you know
as
she
the
also
flying nun,
was a
right?
flying nun?
Before my time.
All before
You
my
can
time.
play the flying nun without sound, Leo.
Does anybody remember the flying nun?
Well, we're old enough
She
to.
flew?
You don't remember the flying nun? Oh my
I do.
God. I know you do. You're an old
Yeah.
guy.
Okay, well, I'm an old fart.
How could people have forgotten the flying nun?
Welcome to
they were
television.
You know,
zygotes.
again, I think this is intentional. I was going to play the flying nun thing, but the F key on my keyboard popped up. And all I can do is the lying nun. So, and I don't think I want to play that clip.
Are you serious?
This is the universe saying, Leo,
So you don't use any F words to
Don't do
protect
it.
the children.
it's time to move on.
Do it.
Wow. Do we want to talk about the Twitter whistleblower, or should we just move on? Ugh.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah, we
What?
did.
Talked about last week. Well, now Musk is trying to delay the case.
Yeah.
And
You know
he's-
what's
and he's
clear?
making it part of his thing. And
Bottom line, Elon was always looking for a way to get out of this. He realized early on, oops, and he's just been ever since grasping at any straw so that he could get out of this. So now we know.
But it looks like he can, right? With these circumstances.
Well, you know, the key.
Oh, no, not according to
Stacey-
Mike.
Stacey will know about this. The key is MAE,
MAE.
right?
May.
I'm trying to remember what it stands for.
Active.
that little made up algorithm that they
No.
not algorithm.
It's a something
monthly something engagement monthly.
Monetizable MDOS.
No, you guys
MDOS.
suck. You suck so bad. Not MDOS. No, it's a material adverse event.
Event.
Oh,
And
okay.
the thing that gets him, the thing that gets, this is why you're not in law. The thing that gets him out of that contract with no uncertainty is an MAE. If there's a material adverse effect, then the bid he made for Twitter can be abrogated because it doesn't, if Twitter suddenly says, oh, it turns out we stole all our code and we have to go out of business, that's an MAE.
It's like when HP bought Autonomy.
Exactly.
Then Autonomy was like, I cooked my books for however many years.
Yeah, we made it all up. So there is some thinking that Zach Coe's revelations qualify as a material adverse event. And so Elon's now off the hook. Whether Zach Coe is...
Well, but that's determined by a court or a lawyer. It's not like...
The Delaware Court of Chancery has to say so. But it's just, you can make a strong case. You can drop...
If Musk solicited him to do this?
Yeah, he did.
Does that count?
I think that
was dodgy AF.
That. Yeah, you'd have to prove that. But I think that...
Discovery...
Notice that Elon is now throwing out... He's now throwing out the spam bots. He's now throwing out the MDAOs. He says, let's depose this guy because I think we've got an MAE here. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Yeah, it's the force majeure of like...
It is. Yeah, an act of God. Yep. An act of Zach Coe. An act of Mudge, actually, is what it is.
Act of Mudge.
An act of Mudge. Are you all going to set up Twitter circles?
A force majeure. Oh, my God.
Force majeure.
Oh, geez.
Whoa.
Oh, geez.
You just won.
Okay.
You
still not the title.
You just won the internet. No, that's pretty darn good. Write that one down. A force majeure.
I'll see you in a bit. Talk about something boring.
And on that note, she takes an exit. Yes.
That's a mic drop.
Just so you know that I did not do this. Stacy has to go get her kid. She was going to do this anyway. We all knew about it. It's not because of me. Don't blame me.
No, it was a mic drop. I think Ant's right. It was
force majeure. Twitter circle. I like this idea. You could pick up to 150 people. That is your circle and tweet only to them and only they can respond and only they can read.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
It makes Twitter a social network again. We've been talking about how the world is moving away from social towards creators. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not saying I will do this. At least I
why?
don't see the reason to, but
the only downside, you got to make this list.
Yeah, that's a pain in the butt.
It's such a pain in the ass. Who's in my circle? Who's not in my circle?
Well, remember what? That wasn't the early days of Facebook when you created groups of people, right? Remember that?
Yeah, it failed. Same thing with
it failed miserably for
Google Plus, right?
Yeah,
circles. In fact, that was the term they used.
Yeah.
The one thing missing, if you could monetize, if you could say, I want to, if you pay me $100 a month, you can be in my circle. I was thinking about this, and I will tweet to you and you alone the most important, relevant stories of the day, every single day.
Doesn't it seem like Twitter already has something like that in their monetization plan?
Well, they were thinking
like subscribers.
They were thinking of doing
tweets
Twitter OnlyFans. Did you see that?
Super follows. That's what I was thinking.
Super follows. Yeah. Twitter. According to internal documents, in the spring of this year, Twitter considered making a radical change to its platform. This is a scoop from The Verge. After years of quietly allowing adult content, the company would monetize it, give adult content creators the ability to sell OnlyFans-style paid subscriptions, with Twitter keeping some of the revenue. Now, you can imagine the furor that would have created. Maybe we could thank Elon for that not happening. The Verge says, before the final go-ahead to launch, Twitter convened 84 employees to form a red team to pressure test the decision to allow adult creators to monetize on the platform by specifically focusing on what it would look like for Twitter to do this safely and responsibly. They knew that they would lose advertising support, but they figured they'd make more money.
Make it up in additional revenue.
The advertising wasn't working so well.
Yeah. I mean, OnlyFans is projecting $2.5 billion in revenue this year, so it's not a bad direction. The red team said, though, they brought the bad news. among everything else we can't figure out if there's non-consensual nudity or CSAM on our site. And since we can't verify that, we can't verify creators and consumers of adult content are of legal age, we can't do this.
Saved by the bell, I'd say.
Saved by Elon Musk, who then literally 2 weeks before said, "I'll buy the company." Then they immediately said, "Okay, never mind. Forget we even mentioned that."
Put your clothes back on.
Put your clothes back. Did we talk last week about Jack Dorsey's regret that Twitter?
No, we did not.
That he made the biggest issue and my biggest regret. He tweeted when asked, "What's your biggest regret?" You might imagine Jack Dorsey having many regrets, but his biggest regret was kind of surprising, is that Twitter became a company which made
He's kind of said this before, where the centralization of the net was the problem, but he regretted that. But now he got down to it to say that it should not be a company. It should be instead.
He said it should be a protocol. Definitely can't be owned by a state or a company. And he says it's becoming clearer to me every day. Now that I got my $1 billion
from my yacht.
Yeah.
And now that I've been subpoenaed into the case, by the way.
Yeah. I agree with him. In fact, Kevin Marks said, "Yeah, that was exactly our idea." Kevin tweeted, "We were treating it as a protocol right up until Chirp, when Twitter rug pulled that." Chirp was a third party, I think.
I remember Chirp.
Twitter client, and killed all third party clients and most apps.
That was the bad mistake right there.
That was the cliff. Twitter decided, no, we don't want you to. In fact, your friend, Bill Gross. Tell us the Bill Gross story.
So Bill was starting all kinds of companies and great things around Twitter because he believed in Twitter, thought it was great, and treated it like a protocol. Because they had, APIs, just like Facebook in the early days valued developers too, because they grew on them and then threw them off the boat. And so Bill started various companies. I actually invested in one, made that investment rest in peace, I think. No, actually, it's still around, I think. But it morphed and pivoted into about 100 different things. He started Twitter advertising companies, Twitter other things. Remember, the Twitter search started not at Twitter, but was bought by Twitter.
Right.
So then he was going to buy TweetDeck.
Right.
And that's when Twitter swept in and said, no, nobody can have any APIs. We're going to buy the only one that's out there, TweetDeck, and nobody else can do this now.
Here from the Wayback Machine, this is also from Kevin's tweet, a link to a Twitter tool store where there were all these third-party tools that you could use. You remember these?
Man. TweetDeck.
Yeah, that you could use with Twitter to make Twitter better. And
that would have been so great.
So in other words, Jack, you killed that idea. Maybe now he has regrets.
He regrets it.
Yeah. Now that he has
money talks.
Money
talks.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
In the boards talk too, and shareholders talk, and investors talk, and VCs talk.
It's true. Once you go public, it's hard for you to say, "Oh yeah, we're not going to make any money. We're just going to be a protocol." You can't do that. So
well, who did?
Who?
WordPress.
God bless Matt Mullenweg.
And I got called by Polaris VCs when they were going to invest in WordPress, and they said, we're just trying to figure out this crazy idea he has to have an open source piece and then to build on top of it. And I said, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it shows how 6 Apart went wrong by trying to control everything. And that's when they fell apart, is when they said, no, you can't have that many customers because you can't compete with us. And WordPress said, no, we're going to enable competitors so we can grow, so we can get more open source coding. And it now is a third of the pages on the internet are served by WordPress. It's
huge.
It worked
so maybe
beautifully.
Maybe there was a way to
could have
do
been
it.
that.
Maybe Jack could have done it.
I think that's the model. I think WordPress very quietly shows us a model of what can be.
I've always loved Matt.
Matt is brilliant.
Matt Mullenweg. Yep.
And my son is applying for a job there right now. So I'm not saying that because of that, Matt. But
no, good. Well, and as you know, WordPress was for a long time a sponsor. Matt's always been a big supporter. I've known Matt since WordPress started. I think I think we interviewed him on Triangulation. I believe.
Can we get him on Twig?
Yeah,
it'd be great.
Let's try.
I'd love that.
It's a great idea.
I mean, I think just to talk about the Twitter right now would be fascinating. Now,
Well,
and by the way, Matt could be the one to buy Twitter and save us from all this.
I don't think he's got $44 billion.
Well, it's not going to be $44 billion. It's going to, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and the price is going to come way down, and then somebody's going to rescue them at that price.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Yeah, the purchase is not going to happen. Either Musk is going to be able to back out because of the MBBA or whatever you said it was, the force majeure, or he gets out but has to settle, and they get a few $1 billion, but still the price is going to go down.
Matt was a guest in 2011 on This Week in Tech number 291 titled Eggs, the Silent Killer. I don't know. And you know who else was on that show? Joshua Topolsky, John C. Dvorak, and Gina Smith.
Wow.
That was an old timer.
Topolsky.
Yeah,
Where's
Topolsky
now? He was
so he founded Engadget, right?
Oh.
And then I think
it was
this
The
is my
Verge.
next after they left. And
Play just a little, because you can't take yourself down.
I could.
Just a
I
little
could
bit see what
try.
you look like.
Let me see if here's John.
Wow.
Let me. This is in the old cottage. There's Gina. There's John wearing a Mao
That's
cap.
Gina Smith.
Yeah.
And he maybe when he
man.
said,
Now where's Matt?
you wouldn't be.
No, there's Joshua.
There's Topolsky.
There's Gina. There's Dvorak. There, I don't know. Maybe Matt's.
It's a great podcast. The
He's
Engadget show,
Skyped in
which
too.
everybody should listen to. It is not.
He's a man of few words, Matt.
There he is.
There he is.
Yes.
And that it was perhaps tied to a blog that the Chinese government. He wants.
I don't know
wants
why
to
Matt
start
was on. Was he there as a? Oh, look, we're drinking. You got wine.
Shocking.
Burned down.
His glasses.
Let's give him back all of his belongings.
Let's get Matt Mullenweg on the line. Hi, Matt.
See, this is when I was doing it all
Hey, Matt
myself.
Dvorak.
Even I think editing.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing you can do
Yeah.
that.
Do you know each other?
We do now.
Would you like a glass of wine?
I've known Matt before he had that crazy beard.
I like the beard, Matt. Yeah, it's good.
brand new.
Dvorak.
Yeah,
That's
It's brand new, just as of yesterday. It's actually glued
Always
up.
correct.
No, we're talking about Matt Mullen.
All right, let's not talk about porn
Okay,
anymore.
let's get back.
Stacy's
Let's
back.
get back,
So let's take a break. This week at Google, brought to you by ClickUp. Oh, I love ClickUp. Imagine if you could get in your work week 1 day off extra every week. What would you do? I would just stay in bed all day, but maybe you'd want to cook healthy meals or work on that novel. Just watch some, good reality TV. That's what ClickUp gives you, the productivity platform that promises to save you 1 day of work a week, guaranteed. ClickUp was started, and again, this is my theory, some great developers said, I want to scratch my own itch, decided productivity is broken. There are too many tools to keep track of, too many things in entirely separate ecosystems. There's got to be a better way to get through the daily hustle, and ClickUp was born. One tool to house all your tasks, all your projects, all your docs, goals, spreadsheets, everything. Built for teams from 1 person to 1,000 or more people, ClickUp is packed with features and customization options that no other productivity tool has. So you can work however you like to work. ClickUp comes out of the box, ready to go. Of course, it's completely customizable. I mean, you can do anything you want with it. And then they also have presets like product for various jobs, like project management or engineering or sales. If you're in HR, there's an HR module, marketing. Easy to use solutions to create a more efficient work environment. And it brings you don't have to abandon your existing tools, your Zoom, your Slack, your Zapier, all of that just goes right into it. I just think this is brilliant. Join more than 800,000 highly productive teams using ClickUp today. That's a lot, 800,000. Use the code TWIG when you go to clickup.com, and you'll get 15% off ClickUp's massive unlimited plan for a year. So you can start reclaiming that day a week for under $5 a month. That's pretty awesome. You get an extra day every week. Sign up today. ClickUp.com. Use the code TWIG. 15% off gets it down to under $5 a month. ClickUp. CLICK. ClickUp.com. Thank you, ClickUp, for supporting This Week in Google. We love these guys. It's a great product. Did you get your daughter? You're all good? Nobody can tell Stacy what we were talking about while she was gone.
No, you can't beat it out of me.
Thank goodness for timestamps.
Thank goodness for editors. So, bad news this morning for Snap. During the pandemic, they went crazy. The parent company of Snapchat, hiring more than Amazon, Meta, Pinterest, Twitter, Alphabet, Microsoft, Apple. Almost doubled in size during the pandemic. Now they've decided today they announced to shrink 20% of their workforce. That'll save them $500 million a year. Snap had assumed, according to Evan Spiegel, the CEO, a higher rate of revenue growth, and that's not what they're seeing now. I blame Facebook. I really do but they're still growing 8% third quarter revenue growth. That's the slowest ever, though.
You blame Facebook and not TikTok in its success?
Oh, maybe it is TikTok. Snap is pulling an Instagram now. They're adding TikTok-like features, right? Everybody's doing Be Real now too. I love that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Snap just announced they're going to have front camera, back camera snaps. They killed. I bought stupidly the Pixie, which was their selfie drone. I know. Stop laughing.
You mean the one I told you not to buy?
You told me not to buy. $250. They literally killed it like a week later. It's like, well, thank you for the money. Bye.
Could you give it back?
I'm going to try. Hey,
I was trying to get my Google Glass back.
Yeah.
No, it's a schmuck tax.
Okay.
Schmuck tax.
Schmuck tax.
There's another title.
There's another title.
I'm paying the
so many
schmuck
titles.
tax. So many titles.
You're just going to cut this up into 5 shows so we have 5 titles.
New Jersey, very happy. Remember the Twitter account?
Oh, this is great.
The New Jersey Twitter account, the one with attitude, the official Twitter of the Garden State.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
look at that! Look at that banner.
This.
It's the hand. What was the best one? Was it about Christie?
It was your mother. It was who let you have an account? Your mother.
Just the Jersey corn. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing. And then it's got Tony Soprano saying, "This was all cornfields here."
Go back. Like
I have to go back years, practically.
Well, no. Just go back a few months when she was still there.
Oh, is she gone already?
Oh, no, you don't know this. Oh, she went to the White House.
Well, I know that's the story, but I didn't realize.
And so in the White House this week, nobody knows who did this, but the White House suddenly their Twitter account got attitude. When people complained about the student loans, pointed out all the PPP loans that all these Republicans,
all the rich guys got,
and all that the governor's former tweeter now in the White House just did a little smiley. But it was trending.
Megyn Coyne, who is the voice of New Jersey, now at the White House, and you think she's tweeting?
We presume, but we don't know.
She was she departed last week, so at the end of July. As the social media director for the state of New Jersey. Actually, she was Phil Murphy's intern for a long time.
Right.
And now she's at the Biden administration as joining the Office of Digital Strategy as Deputy Director of Platforms. Is that just code for Tweeter?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Yeah. So, for instance, and this is the one you're talking about, she tweeted, "Who lets New Jersey have a Twitter?" Tweeted someone with 88 followers, to which she replied, "Your mom," and got 500,000 likes and 85,000 retweets. 439,000 followers as a result for New Jersey's official Twitter account. Governor Murphy says Megyn Coyne has been an incredibly valuable member of our team, and her humor and wit will be greatly missed in our office, I bet. Her passion for our state and fierce defense of Central Jersey. Why Central? Just Central?
Well, see, that's a fight we have all the time. There are those who say there's only North Jersey and South Jersey. There are those of us who live in Central Jersey saying, no, there is also Central Jersey, which is where I am, and it exists, damn it.
Okay.
But there are fights about that.
Her defense.
That's their theme. It exists, damn it.
exists, damn it. The governor said, I wish her the best at the White House. She is, she's going to be a little hampered because as a New Jersey tweeter, she's had some great New Jersey icons to tweet. The Sopranos. I just showed you Tony Soprano. The Boss. Bon Jovi.
They're all Americans, Leo.
She's picked fights with other states, especially in defense of New Jersey's pizza industry. You might disagree, Jeff. She's treated the Taylor ham versus the pork roll war fairly.
Big fight.
Even though she knows the real name is Taylor ham. I don't know. These are all Jerseyisms. Megan Coyne will go down in New Jersey history as the creator and operator of @NJGov, social accounts that brought hundreds of thousands of New Jerseyans in with jokes and memes, only to follow them up with critical information about everything from winter storms to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I hope she tweets for them. She is, and this is, of course, from the New Jersey Globe, hence the Central Jersey snark. She's the first Livingston High School graduate to take the State House route to the White House since Robert H. Grady became the associate director of OMB under George H.W. Bush. So there you go. Another Livingston native in 2016, Chris Christie. He did something. I don't remember what it was, but yeah. So that's great. Do you think that she's like managing the POTUS account now?
Why would they hire her? Yeah. I mean, to have input into it. I'm sure that the other people have a lot to say, but she's very creative.
Do you, Stacey, have a Peloton? Seems like you would. Oh, you're muted.
No, I do not.
You don't. So I can't blame you for Peloton's financial difficulties.
I didn't buy one, so you could blame me for that.
Well, I bought one, but I have to say I am responsible. During the first 6 months of 2022, the average amount of data streamed to at-home fitness bikes were down 23% compared to a year ago. People have stopped riding their fitness bikes, and I think Peloton's
there's a shock.
Number one internet connected. This comes from Plume, by the way.
Yep.
They were able to.
They want to be the App Annie of Wi-Fi devices.
I mean, is it all through Plume mesh networks? I guess it must be, right?
Yeah. They're pulling the. I mean, because if you think about it, they've got the deal with Comcast.
Right.
So if you've got a network extender with Comcast, it's Plume, and then they've got a deal with Samsung.
Oh, so they're all over.
So their software's running all over.
Fitness bikes were the number one contraction. Number two, followed by media players, Blu-ray players, iPods, really? iPods?
Blu-ray players?
What? Yeah, I bet there was a decline. VCRs
2005
way down.
called and wanted their media devices back.
The 14% decline for those. PCs down 7% year over year. I think that's also a move to mobile, right? Smart TVs saw an increase of 34%. Smart speakers, 27% year over year. It's big growth for those. Good. I think Plume seems like it says Plume measures this data through its own mesh routers as well as third-party hardware running its software. And they have partnerships with ISPs like Comcast, Charter, and Vodafone. So 41 million homes worldwide. That's pretty good. Those are going to be useful stats, I think.
Oh, 41 million homes. Yeah, okay.
That's a good number. Remember, I mean, Nielsen and Arbitron are like 1,000 homes, for TV ratings.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. 41 million seems like that's a good start anyway. Speaking of which, Comcast and Charter, this is from Fast Company, face a grim new reality, actual competition. And the competition?
This is
you like it? You happy?
Wireless 5G, baby. I knew this was going to happen. I was so excited. We saw it with, are they quoting Bruce Lakeman's stats from a couple weeks ago?
I'm sure they are. I'm just looking through it. Basically, their contention is that T-Mobile and Verizon's residential 5G services are growing fast enough to, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago,
because your daughter uses it, right?
My daughter uses Verizon, and it's $25 a month, less than a third what Comcast would charge her, for better performance. It's like 150 megabits down, 30 up. It's great.
Yeah.
But now that your mileage may vary. She's near the highway, which means I think she's near a Verizon cell tower that isn't maybe too jammed or has a lot of, I'm sure it depends a lot on the quality of the service.
Well, the wireless 5G, it's not just one tower. They actually have them all over. There's more cell towers, as it were, acting to provide the signal.
Yeah. Verizon.
Stacey, where you live, I'm going to guess because it's Sylvan, it probably wouldn't work well for you. True or wrong?
It wouldn't. It's not because it's Sylvan. It's because we have NIMBYs who won't let cell towers.
That's what I'm saying. It's rich and Sylvan. Yes, we don't want to unsylvan it.
It's the Sylvan NIMBYs you got to watch out for.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, it's a Sylvan NIMBY. There we go.
They have pointy ears and little furry toes.
Actually, so apparently our city council tried to get a tower for AT&T on the island, like an additional tower, and AT&T, or maybe it was Verizon, said it just wasn't worth their money. So
how's your cell coverage?
Yeah, I was going to ask, who do you use and how is your coverage?
T-Mo is probably the best one on the island. I still use Verizon, but it's not great.
Huh. So they do have
and there
towers.
Are parts of the island where, there is a tower.
a tower.
Well, you're going to need to go to the satellite then.
Oh, God, no. There's too many trees here for satellite.
Oh, well, so much for that then.
Let me just do a little research here. The total square mileage of your island is 65 square miles.
The history again?
We're so obsessed with this island.
The population is around 25,000. So,
yes.
I think one tower should do per each, right?
Well, but no, because you got to remember we're surrounded by water, and water is terrible for wireless signals.
Oh, is that true?
Water,
really?
Water,
I didn't know that.
Mountains.
Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The spectrum attenuates in water.
Well, but so if you're in a boat, it's not going to be good. But if you're on the island itself, it's not going to affect it, is it?
Well, but we get some of our signals, like some people on one side of the island that is close to Bremerton, they get their signal from Bremerton.
Your Bremerton signal would be pretty bad. Yeah. That makes sense.
But no, water is difficult. Federal airspace. Washington, D.C. is actually one of the most complex places to develop a cell network because of that.
Wow.
That's federal airspace, water, and low-grade mountains. So who knew?
And CIA strange things going on. Yeah.
Well, that's the federal airspace. We'll just call federal craziness.
So, Stacey, I got a weird one for you that I wanted to hear your views because I don't understand this. And it's down on line 80. AWS offering private 5G for offices. I don't understand.
Build your own private mobile network.
Okay.
So, Stacey says, okay, I got a dummy.
No. I'm like, oh, what? Okay. So basically, there's two kinds of private networks. One, there was this whole auction a couple of years ago where you could actually buy spectrum as a business or a school or something. And some companies did, like John Deere bought their own spectrum have a private network. I'm actually going to go visit it at the end of September.
Does it nationwide or is it just in certain?
Nope. It's only near their factory. So they've got a 5G.
So they have their own cell network for the factory, basically.
They have their own spectrum that they bought to run their own cell network.
Wow.
So that's one type of private network. And like Chevron has some spectrum of their own. MIT, I think, has some. Fewer companies bought it than expected. But so that's one type. That is not what AWS is doing. There is also company like AT&T provides a private 5G network where you operate your own cell equipment. So,
but it's on their network.
But it's on AT&T's network.
Yeah, we have a femto. We have a femto cell at TWIT because T-Mobile. We don't have any T-Mobile, so we have a femto cell connects to our internet network, but
this
gives
is
us
running
T-Mobile
your
service.
Yeah, but this is your own equipment in your own tower, but it's running on their spectrum. So it's like if you had a femto cell plus a server that's running a core network.
Does it use your internet landline or does it use their 5G cell network?
It would use, it could use either. I guess. But so with the AWS, the weird thing about AWS is, and I'm not sure about this, because AWS and Microsoft has both partnered with AT&T and Verizon. So all of those companies have their own private 5G options. So you're running I think you're running data from
it uses
closest AWS servers, like because they've got their own central office, and you're running that data there to the cloud. Like
it uses
AWS's
the CBRS
servers.
spectrum, so it's not using.
Okay, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the CBRS spectrum is private spectrum. So AT&T did buy some CBRS. So the CBRS spectrum is like what John Deere bought, and that's
3.5 to 3.7 gigahertz, and it's intended for exactly this, right? Building private LTE networks or public networks if you're a city or a government, right?
Yes.
It is
so
not
in that
the
case,
CB band, despite its name. It has nothing to do with Citizens Band. No. Okay. It's in the 3.5 gigahertz band.
Breaker.
The incumbents.
Okay, so then
are the Navy.
Yes, but they're okay with it. You're sharing. We've come a long way towards sharing spectrum.
Right.
We've gotten really good at that now.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So then that's a dedicated spectrum that AT&T owns that's in the CBRS band. So they're not running the same AT&T network that you or I might be on. It's your own dedicated,
or in this case,
network.
AWS, not AT&T.
Is it AWS?
It says AWS private 5G runs on AWS managed infrastructure. So
yeah, but
it might be AT&T spectrum as opposed to.
Yeah, because AWS has a deal with both AT&T and Verizon for 5G, private 5G networks.
Right. So why do you do this? Just so you have good phone coverage?
No. You do it because you want low latency. You want to control the quality of the bandwidth, basically. So you want to say, only my factory robots can be on this. This could be for security reasons. It could be because you don't want other traffic getting in the way of your robots.
It's not for your staff's phones.
No. It's for industrial use cases where
I like Stacy's robot imitation. That was very good, Stacy. I like that. That was good.
we used to have a GIF of that actually.
I believe this is also my monster and Stacy angry, Stacy hungry.
I think it is, yes. But you have the firm wrist here as opposed to the floppy wrist.
As opposed to
that's true.
It shows a variety of performance. It's very good.
Well, actually,
my wrists are very agile.
That brings me to another private spectrum and this is another thing you're an expert in, the CV2X applications, the vehicle to vehicle and vehicle to everything else. The National Transportation Safety Board just wrote a letter to the FCC saying, give us this spectrum. They left 30 megahertz of bandwidth for these vehicle to vehicle communications. And they haven't done anything. They've saved the spectrum, but despite keen interest, I'm quoting Ars Technica, from some automakers and industry groups like the Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials and the Intelligent Transportation Society of America, it hasn't been deployed. In fact, the FCC took some of that and reallocated it to Wi-Fi, giving it to Wi-Fi 6E, I think.
Yeah, well, that's because the Trump administration, way back at the very beginning, like 2016, they declined. The Department of Transportation declined to make rules, or there was some sort of weird governmental decision, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I could look it up.
So since 1995, the NTSB has been lobbying for wireless collision avoidance technology.
Wow.
Cars,
wow.
1995. Wow. Cars talking to each other saying, no, you go, Alphonse. No, after you, Alphonse. But, and it, honestly,
watch out, here comes Alphonse.
Yeah, it would be huge. Yeah. The NTSB said that connected vehicle technology would reduce the ever-escalating carnage on U.S. roads. They urged the FCC to make sure Wi-Fi devices don't encroach on the remaining 30 megahertz. The good news is 30 megahertz is not as small as that might sound. It's not a huge amount of spectrum, but they do it in Europe with 40 megahertz for V2X. And this year, apparently 1 million V2X cars will be sold in Europe. It'll be in the $10 million range in the next couple of years. So they're going to have it in Europe. Will we have it here? Well,
yeah. So it was the Trump administration back in 2017. So all the way back in 2017, they said, we're not going to mess with this right now. And it was part of I'm just reading.
GM dabbled with vehicle to vehicle in the 2017 Cadillac CTS. In 2018, Toyota publicly committed to deployment in all new cars for the 2021 model year. But shortly thereafter, the Trump FCC said the spectrum is under consideration for reallocation, so Toyota backed off.
Yeah, they stopped doing it because they were the Obama administration had said, "Hey, we're going to go forward with this," and then very early on, Trump they said no, and so then they were like, the car makers were like, "Oh, well, never mind."
The NTSB traffic fatalities last year in the U.S. 42,915 people died. The NTSB documented scenarios where vehicle to vehicle would have saved lives. I think we need this, and I think it's time to move on this.
Yep. Well, so there's a lot of issues there. There's everyone's favorite, which is spectrum sharing. Like, okay, how do we make sure this doesn't interfere with anything nearby? Then there's like, okay, now we've got cars with this. What kind of protocols are we going to make it? Like, how are they going to communicate? How do you deal with, and then there's also these ambitious, not just vehicle to vehicle, but like vehicle to infrastructure. So how is that going to work? What are the standards that we're going to be put in place? And then like Qualcomm was fighting with, who were they fighting with? Anyway, it's been kind of a mess, as it always is when you're trying to like lay out some sort of regulatory standard. Everybody wants it to go their way, basically.
And I know you're a big fan of Dr. Dolittle. I wonder if you could do a little rendition of "He Can Talk to the Animals, to the Animals." Just sing it.
Why do y'all keep trying to get me to do musical stuff?
Because I know it makes you crazy.
You and Stacey to do a duet.
I don't even know what you're singing.
Don't you remember Dr. Dolittle?
Dr. Dolittle.
Rex Harrison?
Like the Eddie Murphy?
No. Well, I don't know.
Well,
Rex Harrison was Dr. Dolittle, and he sang. And the theme was he could.
We do no references after 1965,
right.
Stacey.
Yeah.
Rex Harrison was in My Fair Lady.
Yes, he was. He was also in other things, believe it or not, including Dr. Dolittle. Anyway,
was a long lead into an okay story.
It's a great story. If you think talking to naked mole rats is a great thing, it's a great story. You know how they're doing it? AI.
Wow. AI.
Isn't that cool? New York Times story called the Animal Translators. Scientists are using machine learning to eavesdrop on naked mole rats, fruit bats, crows, and whales, and even, the hope is, to communicate back. Now, I'm going to play you some naked mole rats. Would you?
Oh, boy.
They're hideous.
Okay, listen. So you hear that? So, so it turns out that that's a conversation. When two vole rats meet in a dark tunnel, they exchange a standard salutation. They make this is what you heard, a soft chirp, then a repeating soft chirp. They have a little conversation. And according to somebody, Allison Barker, a neuroscientist.
What's the spectrum they do that on?
It's pretty high. You want to hear it again?
I'm just making a little spectrum joke.
Oh, I get it. I don't know. Allison Barker is neuroscientist, Max Planck Institute for Brain Research. It's in Germany, so you know it's good. Said they have a little conversation. Hidden in this everyday exchange is a wealth of social information they discovered when they used machine learning algorithms to analyze 36,000 soft chirps recorded in 7 mole rat colonies. Not only did each mole rat have its unique sound, each colony had its own dialect, which was passed down culturally from generation to generation. Furthermore,
horses do that.
Horses do that.
No, orcas. Killer whales. There was a whole Netflix was it Netflix documentary or Apple documentary?
Probably.
The ones in Norway have their own culture and dialect.
Sure.
That's fascinating.
Here, even with get ready for put your fascination hat on, during times of social instability, such as in the weeks after a colony's queen was violently deposed, the cohesive dialects fell apart. When a new queen began her reign, a new dialect appeared to take hold. Now what would you say? Dr. Barker says the greeting call, which I thought was going to be pretty basic, turned out to be incredibly complicated. I think it's cool that they can use machine learning. It makes sense. Machine learning, what is it? You apply a data set, you collect a lot of information, and then you try to create an algorithm to detect patterns, right?
Naked mole rats are going to take over with the machine together.
No, because we can talk to them
Panic
and
about
say,
that.
Don't. Say, don't. They're not your friends. We're your friends. We can give you little tiny vole rat clothing. Pants, shirts, little hats. Yep. Giving rise to voice assistants that recognize speech, transcription software that turns vole rat chirps into text, and digital tools that translate between human languages. So you may, not only are we understanding for the first time what they're saying, we can maybe even talk to them. They can use machine learning algorithms to identify when squeaking mice are stressed or why fruit bats are shouting.
You would too if you were a fruit bat.
They want to make a Google Translate for alphabets. This is Dana Rice, who is an expert on dolphin cognition and communication at Hunter College. I think this is pretty cool. You seem, Stacey, to poo-poo it.
No, I'm not poo-pooing. It's not the first time this has happened.
But I'm excited that we might actually be able to talk to the animals, like Dr. Doolittle. This is the one you know about, I think. Maybe not. It's up your way. Researchers at the University of Washington use machine learning to develop software called Deep Squeak that can automatically detect, analyze, and categorize the ultrasonic vocalizations of rodents.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Deep Squeak has now been repurposed for other species, including lemurs and whales, while other teams have developed...
Can they do it for cats and dogs,
yes,
please?
They can.
Can they do it for cows and chickens?
Anything.
Don't eat me.
Don't eat me. That would be bad if they said that. You must stop killing us.
I mean, do we want to know think about if you can talk to a whale.
Did you know that bats are pugilistic, frequently quarreling in their crowded colonies? And the vast majority of their vocalizations are aggressive? Basically, they're pushing each other. Imagine a big stadium and everyone wants to find a seat, said Dr.
They're hooligans.
They're hooligans.
It makes perfect sense.
Anyway, all right. I feel like, here's some fruit bats.
Ugh.
See, they're punching.
I know, they're wonderful. They're amazing.
Brain.
They're cute, actually, but
no, they're not.
They're not.
Bats are adorable.
They are, actually.
How? Really?
Where?
You've got the cutest little faces. You're like
Stacey found cute birds, by the way. Or didn't you, Stacey?
I did. I said Jeff has this. He has my permission to play this TikTok video.
I thought you were. I was like, on the rundown. Oh, I should have done this before then. Okay, I thought you were going to put it on the rundown.
Oh, I never put anything.
Sigh, it's Stacey.
Yeah, maybe it's
Stacey
cool.
actually DM'd me.
You haven't been posting in the TikTok corner, sir.
There's no TikTok corner today. I banned it. Where is TikTok corner? I don't see it.
It starts on line 55. Oh, shoot. I just found a line. I put it above the line.
You stuck it in.
Put it above.
Oh, you quickly pasted.
See, this is why I don't do anything on the I'm like, nope, not messing.
And by the way, just watch. Look, this account is private.
Oh, they must. Maybe they went viral and they didn't want to be viral.
It was Woo Pancakes, and they do what?
They were teaching a crow how to play the guitar. They strummed their guitar with the guitar.
She made it private.
Crows are pretty awesome, though.
Good for her.
We should have crows in law.
Well, you could go to the next two lines.
She only had 526 followers. We were about to put her on the map. And instead,
no, I think she might already have been on the map. I think because usually when people show up on my For You page, they're going viral.
She didn't want all that attention.
So I've got one on the next line, 56. As we did a
this
bird
is a
thing
tweet.
Now. Well, it's okay. It's the same difference. Everybody's the same as a bird.
This tweet: a bird telling a hedgehog to hurry because it's dangerous. And let's turn on the sound so we can hear this.
Well, I don't think there's anything to hear, but you're going to watch it.
I think the bird's trying to eat the hedgehog.
No. Look, it's the bird saying,
"No,
hey,
it's definitely no." You're anthropomorphizing.
Yes,
the bird wants to eat the hedgehog. And he says, "Get out of the road so I can eat you."
That bird's like,
why is he pecking the hedgehog?
Why is this lunch moving?
Why is he pecking it? Crows are smart, right?
Yeah,
crows are very smart.
Pretty awesome.
Very.
Yeah.
I think Charlie Jane Anders or Annalise Newitz actually had a short story about using AI to understand crows and then turning them into like delivery birds for like hacked biologics. It was a good short story.
Here is a parrot. This is something you don't ever want. This is something you don't ever want. This is a parrot who has learned to bark. And as a result, barks at the dog. It's a cockatoo.
What are you doing, you psycho?
The cockatoo is barking at the dog.
The poor dog.
And the dog is just looking, who taught this bird to talk? Who? Machine learning taught this bird to talk. That's who.
You want? I'm going to give up a number. While we're in TikTok Corner, I'm going to give you an amazing one. Amazing. The Grumpy Chef. Let me see which one it is. I think it's line 130. I'm hoping. Let me see here. Let me see which one it is. Let me see what
Oh, this is one of your picks.
130.
Oh, okay.
Well,
you're giving up a pick. Okay, very
I'm
nice.
Giving a pick. Well, no, actually, no. I'm at 131.
Oh, I love this guy. I follow him all the time. In fact, I just saw this TikTok. How funny. He's there to diss horrible cooking videos, of which there are many on TikTok. Yeah. But in this case, it's a chocolatier who he cannot
admire enough.
Just listen.
All right. It's time for some more chocolate self-loathing while I watch this genius at work. Get the out of here. He's making it safe and it works. What kind of evil genius is this? Oh, you know what? Oh, you think you're slick. I know what you're doing. You're practicing for an actual bank robbery. Off-site. Like Ocean's 11. God damn.
He made a chocolate safe
looks like
that actually
Avengers.
works.
Now what?
Caramel.
Yeah. Like even the caramel just looks perfect.
He does a lot of swearing in this. I apologize.
He's great.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
John's on vacation and
fully functioning safe, gold bars inside.
That's awesome.
15 out of 10. Okay. I would eat it, but I wouldn't want to because it's gorgeous.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Play the next one too. The next one down.
He can't hate on that.
It's even better. No. Back on the rundown.
Oh, okay.
Next one down.
Yeah, okay.
It's even is brilliant.
Is this the one where he's making the Connect 4?
Yes. He just thanks for the spoiler. Yes.
Okay.
Ruin it.
I swear to God, he's trying to take over the whole world. And you know what? I'd let him.
This is definitely not
Stop.
appropriate
Is this
for
a Connect 4?
Younger kids.
We got until 24.
No way, dude. I've gotten in some fights off of Connect 4 back in the day. Wow.
This is all chocolate.
Are they each going to have his logo on it?
Yeah.
Because that's some ballin' shit.
Oh, jeez. They're going to have to get the bloop machine out for this
The
one.
intricacy and just the attention to detail is just next level. Also, the fact that this guy has like alien equipment to cut chocolate with. And, like,
got CNCs.
Unreal, dude. That's 3 in a row. Go for one more. Go for it. Connect 4. 10 out of 10. Right,
I love it how much he hates it when they're good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that guy a lot.
Never seen
I
him.
love the chef, but then the chef liking something is unusual. The chef is great.
So John is traveling with Humphreys McGee, so he did not hear any of those.
Super fan.
He's a super fan. Did you hear how many Roger Waters shows he's going to? Like 15,
including one on a Tuesday in Sacramento.
Wow, we almost went to that one. Are you going to that one?
No, sir.
He moved us to Friday in San Francisco. We're going on the 23rd to see Roger Waters.
I have no interest in it, but I love his passion. I just love how much he enjoys his music.
He's created a little Roger Waters shrine out here in the hall.
Yeah.
I got to Instagram it. It's incredible.
Dead serious.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's 5 feet by 3 feet. It should make a TikTok out of it.
What's his apartment like? What is his home like?
That's it.
Is it shrines?
Yeah, no.
And a couple MacBooks and monitors everywhere.
He has a cockpit with a bunch of monitors. It's like
it's awesome.
Nerd paradise.
He's such a great character. He is such a great character.
When he's been with us since almost the beginning. You know, he retired. He was an IT guy at Cal State and retired, moved next door to the studio, the old cottage, because he was such a fan of the show. He just wanted to live next door. And he would come over every day.
Did you
just
think
to
he was
hang
a stalker? Did you fear he was stalking you a little bit? Or
no, I never got a creepy vibe from John.
Okay. No, he's a very nice guy. But
finally,
wow.
Lisa says, well, we got to do something with this guy. Why did he could be there on Saturday when you're doing the radio show and get you salads and stuff. And if he slowly works his way up from that to he runs our whole studio. He's the only guy who knows how everything works in here.
Everything.
We are at a loss if there's no John. So yeah, it's kind of an amazing story. He has a pension from Cal State.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need to work, but he likes doing it. Thank you, John.
Love you, Jammer B.
Love you, Jammer B.
Yeah.
Let's do the. By the way, Benito's the new Jammer B. He's going no. Let's do the Google changelog, Benito.
The Google changelog.
It's a change, but it's also a transition. Robert Kyncl, who has been at YouTube as their chief business officer, is leaving to spend more time with his money. He has been there 12 years as a YouTube exec. He if you think about it, he's been there since 2011 or 2010. That means he really put YouTube on the map. He'll be leaving early next year to start the next chapter in his career. Do you know him?
Yeah, I met him.
His name comes up a lot at Davos, of course. He was kind of the biz dev guy, right? That's kind of every company has to have a person who establishes relationships, maintains them.
I also saw a story that Susan Wojcicki had talked to Elon way back in the day about being number 2 at Tesla.
Oh,
and didn't. I wonder if he would have taken over if she had done that.
Interesting. Yeah, he was kind of always next in line.
Yeah.
What else? Changelog. Google search maps will identify confirmed veterans hospitals and abortion providers. That's an interesting combination. Veteran hospitals or abortion clinics near me. Actually,
do veterans hospitals provide abortions to veterans?
No.
I wonder.
Do they? No.
I don't know. They're federal facilities.
They're hospitals. Yeah, I don't know. I bet you Congress doesn't let them. I betcha. For example, when you look up veterans hospitals near me, a veteran hospital chip with a check mark will appear, and only places that have been confirmed by Google to offer those services will get listed. The reason this is a problem with abortion clinics is there are a lot of anti-abortion, quote, clinics that will show up on the maps, but they don't, in fact, offer abortions. They may not even have medical personnel.
The pregnancy
on site.
crisis centers.
Yes. They will now say whether a place provides abortions. You might also see might not provide abortions. The button will also appear for mental health clinics, physiotherapy centers, and travel clinic. What's a travel clinic? Traveling physician?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Google actually does a number of ways to verify, including calling the businesses to see if they do what they say they do. So that's good. There is a new made for Fitbit accessory line, including a Pixel charging stand for the Sense 2, Versa 4, and Charge 5.
That's ridiculous.
Charge your phone, charge your headphones, and charge your... Well, Apple has a bunch of these, right? So
it's totally useful.
Parody. Lisa has a charging stand for her iPhone and Apple Watch, and it's a good idea, actually.
Totally useful.
Yeah. I'm really wondering when Google's going to do its event. Apple's event is a week from today.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm wondering when. By the way, I apologize. I will not be here next week for This Week in Google. Little programming note.
You leave again?
Okay. I have to go see Joan Jett, Poison, Motley Crue, and Def Leppard. And the show starts at 4:30. So I'll be...
This is not a
Stacey's face.
And this is not a Jammer B session. This is
a
you're not
Lisa
doing this with
Laporte
Jim.
session.
This is a Lisa, yeah.
This is something I am doing as a good husband.
You were voluntold.
I was voluntold. I like that. That's a good word.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
That's a very good word. Queen Pruitt said I had to go.
So you're going to be there on your phone the whole time.
I don't think you can sit at a Motley Crue concert and look at your phone. I don't think that's allowed.
I fell asleep at a Def Leppard concert.
Did
so,
you?
You know.
Wow.
Really?
Oh yeah, we were.
Wow.
I was pregnant, if it helps, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so your little child was brought up to the beautiful tunes.
Dulcet tones.
Pour some sugar on me.
Yeah. Oh, that was terrible. Wow, y'all.
Pour some sugar on that baby. That's hysterical. That's hysterical.
Wow.
Google Meet is getting a push to talk with a space bar unmute shortcut.
Okay.
That's a good idea. I had that on other applications where, you have to click Control D to mute or whatever, click a button. Having the space bar push to talk is great. I think Jitsi used to do that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Zoom does it.
Zoom does it. Okay, that's where I've seen it. Also, Google made it so dedicated Meet hardware devices, I didn't even know there was such a thing, would only have hot word detection enabled when a device is not in a meeting. And so that's a good idea because you don't want it to suddenly wake up and play Pour Some Sugar on Me during your important business meeting. This will avoid accidental activation of the assistant during calls. That would be pretty funny. How to use emojis in Google Docs. It just got easier according to CNET. Oh, no.
Don't.
In fact, you could transcribe Shakespeare in emojis.
Yep.
If you want. So just type @ followed by the text like smile or dog, and a drop-down menu will appear allowing. That's good. So @ will trigger the emoji insertion.
No, this is when I feel like I'm supposed to be the old guy on the panel.
Yeah, you are the old fart here. Yeah.
It's a document. No, you don't need emojis in that.
What's wrong with you? Emojis
You're doing work.
are the best way to communicate.
It's the new alphabet.
All right. Okay, won't send you any smiley faces anytime soon.
Because now everyone's going to, Ann. Everyone.
How can you be the Discord community manager?
You're.
And not
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, how do you?
That is a document. We're not talking about social. If I'm trying to do a document, why am I sticking?
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Let me get a resume and somebody's got emojis on it.
Well, so here's the deal, though. Like sometimes when I'm editing, I'll be like, it's nice when you're editing someone's doc to be able to convey some tone, because sometimes it's kind of like you're telling someone that it's not right.
Yeah.
And if you could tell it to them nicely, that would be helpful.
Oh, boy.
Android,
you'd make
you're
a
fired.
Coach.
Frowny face.
Me? Oh, no, I'd make a great coach.
You'd make a horrible coach.
I have no problem. People, you're hearing that this is me being a woman and so many people being like, you're so brusque. You're so terse. And I'm like, I'm just telling you how it is, people.
You're right. You don't need an emoji for that. Just put a period.
I do because, oh no, periods are very bad. They're very aggressive.
Gosh.
You talk to Gen Z about periods, they are just like, why are you mad at me?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Android 13, everybody upgraded now on their Pixels? Well, you wouldn't, but if you,
I'm upgraded.
Yeah.
Updated.
It's exactly the same.
Yep.
What's the difference? I don't know. It's a minor update. Now we prepare for Android 14. Wow. Today they dropped the Pixel 4 and 4 XL from the Android 13 beta program. So I don't, 14 won't be till early next year. So you can relax a little bit. Presumably the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro will be added to the Android beta program when that becomes available. And of course, I think Pixel 6, yes, and Pixel 5 even will be for the quarterly platform release of Android 13. Every year, this time of year, my Nest doorbell starts playing spooky songs instead of ding dong. For fall of 2022, Google's Nest Doorbell will have 3 different holiday ringtones, including a new one. It starts in just a few days. You'll be able to turn on an Oktoberfest theme. As your ringtone. Yeah.
Oompa.
Oompa. And
that ringtone will be available
rocks.
through October 5th, which is actually the dates of Oktoberfest 2022 in Munich.
Mainly in September, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it's September 17th through October 3rd. So if you get there October 5th and you go, well, it's October. No.
Where's the beer? Nope.
Where's the beer? He says, the designer of this song says, I listened to and analyzed the musical arrangements and styles of a variety of traditional polka songs. Then I composed a simple composed a simple original melody on the piano at a rather slow tempo, along with separate harmony and bass lines using audio production software. I replaced each of the piano tracks with a digital sample of a traditional German accordion and sped up the tempo so it's doorbell friendly. Did he put it? Let me see. Let me see if he put it on the keyword blog. I think he didn't. I think you're supposed to just be pleasantly surprised when it happens. Let's see. Doorbell. It's good it doesn't have an F in it. I can type it.
I forgot about that quickly.
Learn how we fine-tune the Nest doorbell ringtones. Wow. Oh, here we go. Here's one for Halloween. This is going to be a witch's cackle.
It'll scare the cat.
That's nice. Here's Thanksgiving gobble. What's funny is they do this and they don't tell you. So all of a sudden, I remember last year. Yeah. Well, I'm on mine. I guess I have it enabled. But yeah. So last year I was like, why is my doorbell sound so spooky? Here we go. You ready for the Oktoberfest?
Oh, wow. Okay, no,
that's a winner.
I would have that all year.
Yes,
round.
Here he is.
Only about once a day, though.
He's doing it. This is the guy. My home recording studio.
We'll play it again, Sam.
One more time.
Only about once a day, though.
That's a good doorbell.
So glad I don't get visitors.
This sells. Do you have a Nest? Do you have a Nest doorbell?
No,
actually, I don't.
I like it. It does Christmas songs too, and at Christmas, and that's when I first became aware of it several Christmases ago. I said, "Did my doorbell just do horse clip-clops?" and a whinny?
Oh, you heard the Clydesdale?
What the hell?
You heard Clydesdales?
No, it was like Christmas. What a Christmas sleigh bell thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's something to look forward to.
A horrible Michael Winslow impression.
The mouth that roared. Watch Material U and Android UIs interpreted in more physical ways. Google Design shared a video collage of animated experiments inspired by Material Design. If this doesn't make you want Android 14, I don't know what will. Not. Why do they? Who did this, and how much money did he get paid to do it?
Boy.
This is crazy. All right,
I want to see the computer they used to do this.
Yeah, well, no, somebody spent hours animating this, days, weeks.
AI. Sure, it's all AI.
Did you see John? Okay, that's the Google changelog. Okay. Enough.
Sorry, Benito.
Sorry, Benito.
But Benito's poor wrist is shaking. Hurry up.
Made him jump.
Let me hit the button.
Did you see John Oliver on Sunday? Because remember, we spent all day Wednesday last week making silly pictures using AI, right?
Those pictures were great.
Podcast host eats lunch.
Having lunch.
So that Sunday.
Podcast legend. Wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yes, podcast legend having lunch.
Okay.
Legend having lunch.
That Sunday, John Oliver did a whole thing on
Dali?
No, he did the same one we did. I can't remember what its name was, and then he did a whole bunch of. What is it?
Is that the name of it?
Something
Mid-Journey?
Yeah. And then he did a bunch of John Oliver things, right? And so I thought, well, that's pretty cool. This is really becoming the next big thing. Then I found, let me see if I can find it again.
I would like to say when I introduced it months ago, you poo-pooed me.
Well, because it was terrible. But it's gotten really good.
What exactly did he say, Mrs. Stacy? What did he say?
We'd have to roll the tape, but he was basically like, this is stupid. What? You tell the computer to make something and it does?
Well, I didn't know how good these things would. And I think a lot of it is they've gotten better and better and better, right?
And there's a new, after you do your John Oliver, there's a new thing that they just started doing, a new trick Dolly has.
What's that?
On line 73, you can finish a painting.
Ah, yes. And that's one story I had. I thought I bookmarked this search engine because I really wanted to play with it and search for...
Well, prompt marketplace below that is interesting. It goes across all of them.
Yeah, maybe that's the one I'm... Okay.
Is that what it is?
What line again?
The 74.
Okay. Dolly adds out painting. Yes, I think maybe it's the... Oh, look how pretty that is. Okay, I take it back, Stacey. I was wrong.
Scroll down. Now,
so you take a painting.
So here's the girl with the the
pearl earring. Yeah,
the pearl earring. Go to the time lapse.
And then
no. On the right on top of the picture. I'm painting it. Yeah.
So it's generating the rest of the painting.
You can pick what works, and then it'll keep going.
And so it's showing her room now.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
That's pretty cool.
I do feel like this is gonna be at some point good enough that illustrators can just use this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There is this is another thing that I bookmarked.
The prompt marketplace below that is a place where you can
prompt
the art of making the right prompt is now what matters, and so people can share the prompts they create across the various services.
This is not the one I was thinking of, though. Let me see if I can find this search tool, because the idea was you could see all of the things people have done by search by prompt, right?
That's what the prompt thing is, I think. If you go dig into it. You're just dubious because I put it on my part of the rundown, not your part of the rundown.
It doesn't look like the one I was...
Oh, it's not the one I want, so it's just no good.
Well, this one was even more fun. Well, let me look at prompt
everything
base.
You have is more fun.
It was more fun. So where do I enter the search here?
I don't know. Find out yourself, Grumpy.
Okay, find a prompt.
Oh my gosh, you guys. It's like, who are those two old men on the Muppets?
Yeah, see, this didn't work.
Stadler.
So
thank you. Waldorf and Stadler.
Waldorf and Stadler. I wish I had bookmarked this. I thought I did. Oh well, not worth spending a whole lot of time on. But I just like the idea that I could. Anyway, watch John Oliver. What was it? Next week tonight? Is that what it's called? This week tonight?
Last
week tonight.
He did, I thought, a very good job of playing with it. Well, because I can't play it obviously, so you have to watch it. But he started doing some. He had noticed that when you looked at what was it called again? The one we used? Mid-Journey. And you search for late night hosts, like, Jimmy Fallon, there's 20 prompts, and, Conan O'Brien, there's 5. He had 483 prompts. And then he started looking, and there's a couple of people who really like doing a lot of John Oliver stuff. And eventually he came up with this John Oliver and a cabbage story.
Nice little ego boost.
It segues to him marrying a cabbage in real life and then eating it. It's in other words, it's hallucinogenic. I can't describe it, but
I'll watch it right after I watch Hard Knocks.
What's Hard Knocks?
It's the NFL training camp.
Oh, I like that show. Aren't they doing soccer this year?
I don't know.
No, that's another one. That's the Amazon Prime one. I think they're doing soccer. Well, you know what else is premiering this week? The Lord of the Rings on Amazon on Friday. Are we excited about that?
Thor Love and Thunder comes out on September 8th.
What's Love and Thunder?
Thor.
It's the Thor movie.
Oh, it's something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't follow that because I never read those.
The comic books? It's a comic book. You don't have to read the source material.
Hardhead is all into that stuff.
Anyway, I've been watching the Lord of the Rings one. It's pretty good. Okay, I think we're done. I think it's time to do our last ad and then get you to do your picks of the week if you would be willing. Shall we?
I have a thing this week, y'all.
Yay!
It's going to be so great.
Stacy's thing just around the corner. But first, a word from New Relic. Love New Relic. Developers, we love you. You're some of the most curious people, the first to explore the newest tech, wanting to know how things work, why they work. You actually read the manuals, right? That's why so many engineers turn to New Relic, because New Relic will tell you exactly what's going on with the things you build. Shows what's really happening in your software life cycle. One place to see the data from your entire stack, so you don't have to look into 16 different tools and make those connections manually. New Relic pinpoints issues. They even do it down to the line of code, so you know if there is a problem, why they're happening. You could fix it, recommit, resolve it quickly. That's why more than 14,000 companies use New Relic. When teams come together around data, New Relic lets you triage problems, be confident in decisions, and reduce the time needed to implement resolutions using data, not opinions. Use the data platform made for the curious. Access the whole New Relic platform and 100 gigabytes of data free every month forever. No credit card required. Sign up at newrelic.com/twig, NEWRELIC.com/twig. New Relic. Love you, New Relic. newrelic.com/twig. It's for the engineer in all of us. Now, Stacy's got a thing.
Y'all, okay, I'm obsessed with buttons. Love them.
Yeah.
And I just picked up
a button. It's a big button.
It's the tap dial switch from Philips Hue.
Oh, I've seen this. I want to see this. Show me.
Why? Let me show you. Okay, so this is a magnet. This is so I can mount it to a wall if I want, but I don't ever mount these to walls. Comes in white and black. It's $49.95. This is the dial. It dials. Dialing.
So they've had switches before. In fact, I think I've had Hue switches.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got this for you. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Gen 1.
Ah.
That's the Hue tap.
Yes, the Hue tap.
Okay. This is a piezo. This is so look at the thickness. This one does not spin. All right. And because I am a completist in all things, here is the Hue button, which the middle one is a $29.95.
And it only does one thing. It's on or off, right?
It doesn't. It actually does. Oh. It's a one tap.
Oh,
double tap,
multi-tap,
triple tap.
Okay. So 3 things.
This has 4 taps, and they're nice. Hugh's always done this. This is actually these. I don't know if you can see the dots because there's little dots.
It's like Braille dots on them. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Well, this one isn't Braille. This is just like on there so you can tell the difference. But this one is actually in Braille, so they're really getting. Each iteration is getting better.
But it's not just the taps. You can also turn, right?
Yeah. So this is the dial. So this one adds the dimming capabilities. So this one, I only get the.
So I can tap.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize.
And you can turn. Well, yeah, I have the.
So these are my scenes.
So there's 4 scenes.
4 scenes I can use, and then there's dialing up and down.
And the dial is always just
where the buttons are. Isn't that confusing?
No, the dial is independent of the buttons.
So the buttons
stay where they are.
It's a demonstration problem, not a dial problem. Okay.
Yeah. This is good. And it doesn't need wires. It's wireless.
It's wireless. It's Zigbee. So it's Hue Zigbee, I should confirm. So yeah, this is, and it's heavy. Hue does, it's because the magnet in it for attaching it to the base.
But heavy's good because it doesn't slide around.
Heavy's good.
Like, for instance, I would like to have this on the side table in the living room where we watch TV, so I could manipulate that without getting up. You know, I could just press a button, say, okay, it's movie night.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep this on my bedside table lamp. It
Same
just
thing.
sits right,
Yeah.
like, it's like,
Nighttime.
boop.
Oh, that's got a magnet too. That's neat.
Yeah.
Very cool. How much
So that
is
is
the new Hue dial?
$49.95. Hue ain't cheap.
You have to, I presume you have to have a Hue hub and Hue lights.
You have to have a Hue hub and lights. I guess you could use it with a Hue hub. You could jack around and go with like a Samsung SmartThings Hue thing,
Right.
but I don't know why you would.
And it is
I don't know why
battery
you
powered, so it's like AAA or AA batteries you put in there.
Yeah, this looks like,
Little bat. So it's not rechargeable. You put batteries in.
No, it's not
Stacey has a
laser.
screwdriver
Oh my
at
goodness.
the ready.
Yes. Yes.
Much respect.
Get it out.
Much respect.
It's like, I can't get it out right now because
You have a whole tool belt there we're not
I have
seeing.
That
9.
is almost as cool as my bottle opener at the desk. That's much respect.
I have 9 Hue lights, but all I do is I turn them off and on. Oh, that's a nice one.
wow.
That's awesome.
What is that, a
geez.
pipe? What do you got, a Meerschaum pipe in there? What is that?
Oh, this is a candle snuffer.
Oh, okay, sure.
Oh, okay. Right.
Sure, that's what that is.
Got a little
tool
antenna.
everyone should have
Why
in
do you
their
have a candle
toolbox.
snuffer?
It's a candle snuffer.
It is, do you have,
Jeff, you'll appreciate this one.
what is that, a rectal thermometer? What is that?
No, it's a thermometer. it's a centimeter,
Like a pica
pica,
measurement.
and inch.
Oh, picas.
Icos.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
scissors.
Bet you use
Phillips.
that all the time.
Got a little knife in here.
Which do you use more, the candle snuffer or the pica inch measurer?
Okay, I use the candle snuffer a lot.
Okay.
How big is this candle? Let's find out.
It's a 5
just stick it over
pica
the wick.
candle. Yeah.
5 pica.
Yeah, that's a big,
Lord.
that's a big candle. Mr. Jeff, I found it. Oh, it's in my
we were all trying to tell you.
It's in my pick of the
Jason's been
week.
trying to tell you in chat.
It's in my pick of the week, Lexica, Lexica.art. So if you search for it, and this is what I wanted to do, John Oliver, apparently, and this searches all the stable diffusion images, okay? It will provide, apparently, John, as you know, John Oliver's quite the fan of Adam Driver. So, so this one is a portrait of John Oliver standing next to Adam Driver in the Carpathian Army. Here is, I think these are hysterical.
Their noses are so similar. Brother.
Yeah. I have to say, okay, Stacey, I was wrong when I dismissed the idea of these AI-generated art. This is amazing. Amazing stuff.
Yes.
This is Stable Diffusion, not DALL-E. This one, Stable Diffusion, you can install yourself, right? Is that the one you can put on your own computer and you don't have to pay anything for it or anything like that? These are quite that is
stressing.
They're very a portrait of John Oliver standing next to Adam Driver, stoic, military uniform, fantasy, intricate, beautiful, highly detailed charcoal, centered, dark, smoky, digital painting. Art Station, concept art, smooth, sharp focus, illustration, art by Greg Rutkowski. And I guess that gave Stable Diffusion enough information to really get detailed on these. And unlike DALL-E, it doesn't seem to resist putting real people's faces in, right? Like that does, you could tell it's Adam Driver and John Oliver. Anyway, so if you're looking for ways without, having to figure out what the prompt. Give me a prompt. We can try one. 5 million.
Press.
What is it? Printing press. Now, normally you'd add a lot more features, but this search will search for
Well, in this
printing
case,
press.
you're seeing what you're part of somebody else's searches,
Exactly.
Right?
So a beautiful woodcut print. Ooh, that's interesting. Here's a printing press. The invention of the printing press using spaghetti.
What minds come up with this?
Small details, intricate Canon 8 80 millimeter cinematic lighting, Wes Anderson film, Kodachrome. Here it is, the invention of the printing press using spaghetti.
Wow.
Okay, infinite laughs.
That's
Here's Joe Biden foaming at the mouth in the Oval Office when a 3D printed AR-15 is shown to him.
Wow.
Okay, that's a little strange. Hyper-realistic humanoid robot. A lot of Joe Biden here. Joe Biden propaganda poster.
I should search for how to
Jack Bench. Benching press. Oh, there's press. See, press got in there with Arnold Schwarzenegger body. That is kind of creepy.
Oh,
Press.
put in mole rat.
Naked mole rat.
So much.
All right, let's do it.
Just mole rat.
Mole rat is enough.
Forget the naked because they're clothed.
You don't want to put naked in these things. It's on the internet.
A human mole rat dressed in 1700s royal attire.
They're not naked mole rats. They're breast mole rats.
Can we get tardigrades in here?
Oh,
why not? Why not?
323. Oh, baby, getting creepy now. All kinds of tardigrade action. Anyway, that's lexica.art. It's a search engine for AI-generated illustration, which you know what I think it is? I don't think it's gotten better, but I think humans have gotten better at figuring out how to get it to do their bidding. So the phrase
that's
what happens, right?
Yeah, right.
Very interesting. That's the stable diffusion stuff.
Symbiosis.
The human-machine symbiosis. Jeff, pick
my turn.
of the week or number of the week from you.
Well, whatever. Well, so I just want to mention real quickly, I've talked about Crikey, the small Australian news site that is being sued by the dared Lachlan Murdoch to sue them. They have a GoFundMe.
Good. And they've raised almost $500,000.
And they're trying to raise $3 million. Or was it $5 million now? Because it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
So Taylor Ryan's, we love Taylor Ryan's on the show. We should get her on, by the way.
Do we know how? Do you know her? Do you have contacts? I feel like she would just blow me off.
I don't know. She might not, given that's tech.
I would love to get her on. Are you kidding?
I'll DM her.
Would you please? She'd probably treat you with more respect than she would me.
Well, probably not, but that's okay.
All right.
So poor Taylor had to cover the crypto Woodstock, which I see as the crypto Bohemian Grove.
Where was it?
It was there in a camp there in California, in Idlewild, California.
Now, I've been to the Bohemian Grove. That was quite fun, but I don't know. And by the way, I gave a lecture on what the internet was in the early '90s to the Bohemian Grove. Yeah.
Oh wow. Were they all naked there?
No, I think it's over. George Schultz was there. He and his cronies had a cabin way high up away from everybody else. It was Bastille Day. It was July 14th. So a bunch of drunken Bohemian Club was originally a San Francisco men's club that was for bohemians, for artists, for actors, for performers. Eventually became a very wealthy men's club in San Francisco. But what was interesting is they would invite actors and performers and they would let them be members for free. So they would put on shows for the very rich, wealthy men. And they have a beautiful wooded grove up the road a piece. They also have a downtown club. So many years ago, a member invited me, and it was Bastille Day. So there were a bunch of drunken billionaires playing the Marseillaise, marching around. I did pee on a tree because you're supposed to. That's part of the deal.
Yeah.
And then it was you know what it really was? It's what Burning Man would be after 100 years.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's something to put in lexicon.
Exactly. I was thinking that. Exactly.
Very good.
Put Burning Man in there.
Because they have, at the beginning, they have a play that they do. At the end of care, or maybe it's at the end, they have the end of cares and they burn things. Right. Anyway, so this was for NFT people. Here's a member of the feminist rock group Pussy Riot talking about using crypto to raise money for Ukraine. Okay. I'm really skeptical about all of this.
Yeah, so am I. So then the next one, and I think he's a friend of both of ours, but Loic
Lemur. We were just talking about him.
Loic.
Oh yeah, very.
So now
well.
he has another event
and another baby on the way. By the way,
another one. Really? Jeez,
yes.
Man.
He's 50 years old.
He invited Lisa and I to Le Web a couple of years in Paris. It was really fun about 10 years ago. I love Loic. But then he's got a little
character.
He got a little strange. He joined the ayahuasca tribe.
Yeah.
And
so this is that. So he's now starting Powwow here, which is the combination of Web3 and ancient wisdom.
My partner, Magdalena Sartori, also spent time with me in the forest, which is where we had the idea of power, deeply immersed with our indigenous friends, the Ashkankinas.
Play the video and get the actual accent,
I can't because...
No.
I also met Lucy Barenkova there. He introduced me and the whole web group to President Sarkozy. We went to the presidential palace in Paris. Got to meet Sarkozy.
He was very well connected.
Did he have something to do with seismic?
Yes, that was
him. That was his
Seismic.
company.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a very early kind of Instagram-ish kind of thing.
Yeah. So this is Web3 AI metaverse. Okay. Then conscious entrepreneurship. I don't know what that is.
Good.
Then science of consciousness. Then indigenous wisdom. Then plant medicines and psychedelics.
But where do I
Put
take
all
the
that
ayahuasca?
together?
I want to.
Exactly.
Where's the ayahuasca booth? Oh, get your tickets and a collector NFT.
Of course, Natch.
You know what? I love Loic, and if he's into this, that's great.
God bless him.
God bless him. Congratulations. I will watch this.
I still can't quite figure out what it's about
in private,
just from reading that newsletter myself.
And what's your thing of the week?
My thing of the week, I didn't really have anything because I hadn't had time to play with some stuff, but I brought up this football season is here video because we talked about it briefly on Floss Weekly.
Are you ready for some football?
And if you skip to 8:10, I just thought it'd be funny because we did have a chat with Queen Pruitt pre-show. And this is just me highlighting her.
Is this at a Clemson game or what?
This is at a former Clemson tailgate, and she's trying to celebrate like the ball players do. And said, you know what?
With me just yet. The chest bump?
Yeah. I told her not to do it with me.
She says, I know I won't fall. You're going to knock her right over. She going to do it with you?
Yep.
Oh, no. You're going to knock her right over. Boom.
Oh, jeez.
That's mean.
Hey, I did nothing.
Well, now we know.
I did absolutely nothing.
Now we know the answer to the question. What happens when an immovable, what is it?
Immovable force meets a something object?
Irresistible object? Yes.
I don't know if I'm irresistible.
Wow.
That just came to my mind. And
I love it.
I wanted to give a shout out because I had an honor and pleasure of shooting Miss Natalie Conklin and Miss Shayna Harding. They are the owners of Gadarian
I love
Wines
the images you did for them.
In Napa.
Yeah, these are great.
Miss Natalie is
they're vintners.
big-time Olympic gold medalist.
Oh,
and she's from here, and I really appreciate them.
What is she gold in?
Swimming. She swam in the year when Michael Phelps was swimming. When he was blowing up, she was doing just as
quietly
much as
in the background, of course, doing everything he did backward and in heels. But who gets the credit? I tell you, nice. These are. I've seen these pictures. They're beautiful. I love.
Thank you, sir.
Gadarian Wines. GADERIN.
I'm trying to get more local business here, sir.
Here's Aunt at work, and I bet they show. Yeah, there you go. I bet they had a lot of fun with you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Way up in right outside of Calistoga.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area in Napa Valley. Yeah, I'll give it a little heart myself.
Thank you, sir.
And you saw a nice print.
Yeah, I got a new print up. I finally put it up.
Oh, that's pretty.
And if you're interested in astrophotography, I got a print for you. antpruitt.com/prints. So
you can get it on a pillow. I can get it on a pillow.
Or a pillow.
Yeah. Look at that. That is a pretty pillow.
There you go.
I'd sleep well on that pillow. Ant is the host of Hands On Photography. What are you going to do this week?
This week I'm sitting down with actually he's a Twit fan. His name is Zach Sedewong. And we're going to talk about brand photography and getting more into working with brands because he's a former creative director for a couple of different brands and wanted to get his insight to help share with the community, because people are taking photos and they're always asking, hey, well, how do I start my business? Well, this is some of the tips.
Ant will also be hosting a fireside chat in a couple of weeks with our Club Twit members on September 22nd at 9 a.m. Pacific. Club Twit, Ant's, of course, the community manager there. That is our little membership club that we do. Just $7 a month to join Club Twit. All you have to do is go to twit.tv/clubtwit, sign up. We use Memberful, so it's very easy to do. There's a yearly plan as well. You get free, ad-free versions. Well, they're not free. They're $7 a month. You get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get access to the Discord, which is fantastic. Really great place to converse. And look, they came up with a lexica search for Elon Musk as Captain America. I love that. And you also get the Twit Plus feed, which includes shows that we do not offer in public because they're brand new. This is kind of our workshop is in the club for shows that don't have the audience yet to have advertising. So the club subsidizes them. Hands on Windows with Paul Thurrott, Hands on Macintosh with Micah Sargent, the Untitled Linux Show with Jonathan Bennett, the Giz Fizz with Dick D. Bartolo, Stacy's Book Club with this Stacy Higginbotham right here. Did you decide yet? Did we decide what the book's going to be next time?
No, we will close the vote this weekend.
But if you want to, well, it says till 9/10.
Okay, next week.
The vote closes 9/10.
Next weekend. Sorry.
Yeah.
Next week.
That's awesome. I really
go vote for your favorite book.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the last book, the Clara and the Sun. Our new choices are Ancillary Justice, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, or Wayward. But if you're a member of the club, go to the book club section at Club Twit in the Discord and vote. Right now, it's very close. It could go any way, in either direction.
Yeah.
And you also get our eternal thanks and gratitude because it helps us keep all of the shows afloat during difficult times. Twit.tv/clubtwit, $7 a month. It's fun too. It's a really fun place to be. Jeff Jarvis, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Sinatra called him a bum. But he's also the director of the Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism, the City University of New York. Buzzmachine.com. He's everybody's.
I don't think that'll ever get old.
Everybody's favorite nickel millionaire.
Well, once I have a pre-order for the book up, which won't be till November, then that's getting rid of all that stuff, and I'm going to be pumping.
Just
the book.
Put the book. Yeah, you could screw Craig Newmark. I got a book.
I got a book to sell.
Hi, Craig. I got to sell this book.
We're just kidding, Craig. We love you. We love you. Buddy. You're the Matt Mullenweg of classified ads.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't appreciate that either. That's kind of true, though, isn't it?
Actually, it is kind of true.
Yeah.
Open platform.
Yeah. Stacey Higginbotham's at stacyoniot.com. Wake up, Stacy. She's.
I was playing with my dials.
Oh, pushing the buttons. Got to push the buttons. If you go there, you can get her newsletter. That's free. You can listen to their podcast. Stacy and Kevin Toffel do a great show, the IoT podcast. She's also got events and fun things going on. stacyoniot.com. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday around 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, 2100 UTC. The live stream is at live.twit.tv. That goes day and night, but that's when we'll be doing This Week in Google. If you're watching live, chat live in the public chat room, irc.twit.tv, or in the Club Twit chat room on Discord. After the fact, you can get the show from twit.tv/twig. That's free. You can also get it on YouTube. There's a dedicated channel for This Week in Google, or subscribe on your favorite podcast client, audio or video. Pick one and get it the minute it's done so you can listen later in the week. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you next week on This Week in Google. So long.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor of Ad Astra magazine, and each week I'm joined by Tarek Malik, the editor-in-chief over at space.com, in our new This Week in Space podcast. Every Friday, Tarek and I take a deep dive into the stories that define the new space age. What's NASA up to? When will Americans once again set foot on the moon? And how about those samples from the Perseverance rover? When are those coming home? What the heck has Elon Musk done now? In addition to all the latest and greatest in space exploration, we'll take an occasional look at bits of spaceflight history that you probably never heard of, and all with an eye towards having a good time along the way. Check us out on your favorite podcatcher.